Chapter 29:13. Seeking help from Dragon Palace 4-inch serves him right. This brat deserves a beating. Well done. This brat is too arrogant. How dare he say that our soldiers are trash in the intelligence system of Lioli region. I want to beat him up. I want it too, but this brat has too many trump cards. He has a treasure that can defend against an Emperor God's attack. Is Dragon Palace really that strong? Although the speed of their rise is very fast, the foundation of our colored glaze is so deep. Moreover, the Dragon Palace only has over 20 Emperor Gods. If it wasn't for our territorial master and a group of experts guarding the borders of the Mechanic Emperor region, we definitely wouldn't have lost. Dragon Palace might not be as strong as us. Invincible has a good relationship with the Dragon King, which is why he has so many treasures. However, Lioli region has many treasures too. We took out 5 or 6 in the previous war. Dragon Palace has over 20 Emperor Gods. Lioli region has more than Dragon Palace. However, Dragon Palace won't be much weaker than us. They have the legendary Divine Dragon. When they heard Invincible Warrior's screams and saw him being taken away by their vice commander, the soldiers on the fighting platform laughed at his misfortune and began to discuss it. Being provoked by Invincible, they were curious about how strong Dragon Palace was and whether they could be compared to Lioli region. However, as soldiers of Lioli region, based on their understanding, they still thought that they were stronger. His side's foundation was also relatively deep. Supreme First Elder, I've brought my disciple here. At the same time, Shangshui Emperor walked into the meeting room in the center of the platform with Invincible in his hand. Cough, 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 cough. Invincible let go of him. He coughed and looked at the Emperor Gods in front of him. I'm Invincible. Greetings, seniors. He bowed and said hurriedly. Invincible knew his limits when it came to Emperor Gods. Hee, Invincible, right? Lioli region has to thank you. You've saved us a lot of trouble by killing 2 Emperor Gods in Yaoxie. Supreme First Elder said with a smile and gestured to Shangshui Emperor and Invincible to sit down. Hee, no need to thank me. I killed him casually. Invincible pursed his lips and sat down with a smile. In the surroundings, the God Emperor's faces darkened. This kid was really shameless. Woody, I called you here because I need your help with something. Shangshui God Emperor patted Invincible on the shoulder. Master, what can I help you with? If I can do it, I will definitely climb a mountain of blades and dive into a sea of flames. Invincible raised his head slightly and said without hesitation, Cut the crap. This matter concerns the fate of the Colored Glaze region. You should know a little about the current situation of the Colored Glaze region. We, the Colored Glaze region, would like to seek help from other forces. Now, in the resplendent starry sky, besides us, the Dragon Palace is the strongest. We want to seek help from the Dragon Palace. The Upper Water God Emperor said. Of course, we'll ask the Dragon Palace to send experts to help us. We, the Lioli domain, will pay them handsomely. Woody, I heard from your master that you have a good relationship with the Dragon King and that you can contact the Dragon King. So, we called you here to ask for your help. This is the list of treasures that the Colored Glaze region is willing to offer. We are willing to pay these resources to ask the Dragon Palace to help us get through this crisis. In addition, the Dragon Palace can also state their conditions or exchange for other treasures. We can consider it. Invincible. This matter concerns the life and death of the Colored Glaze region. I will trouble you on behalf of the Colored Glaze region. Taking over the Upper Water God Emperor's words, the first Supreme Elder stood up and passed a list of items to Invincible. At the same time, he bowed deeply to Invincible. Cough, cough, First Supreme Elder. You don't have to be so polite. I can contact the Dragon King, but I can't decide on the specifics. When Invincible saw the First Supreme Elder stand up, he was taken aback as well. He hurriedly stood up and said, he knew that the Colored Glaze region's First Supreme Elder was a Second-Order God Emperor, one of the pinnacle experts in the entire Colored Glaze region. The situation is a little urgent. If we have enough time, we won't be contacting the Dragon Palace through you, Invincible. The situation is very unfavorable for the Colored Glaze region. We have to think of ways to contact the Dragon Palace as soon as possible. The first Supreme Elder said softly. The current situation was indeed very urgent. They had to be prepared to get a response from the Dragon Palace as soon as possible. Whether they agreed or rejected, they had to be prepared in advance. First Supreme Elder, I'll contact Boss Wang now. There should be no problem. I just chatted with him not long ago. Invincible immediately nodded his head. He could also feel the crisis in the colored glaze region. Even an Emperor God could fall. The situation was predictable. However, when he saw the list of resources in front of him, his heart skipped a beat. This amount of resources was really terrifying. Wang. Invincible clicked his tongue and took out the communication stone plate to contact Wang Xian. At this moment, Wang Xian was sitting in the imperial study of the Dragon Palace. He had just received a message from the Domain Master of the Sacred Region. The Domain Master of the Sacred Region had sent a message. The Domain Master of the Colored Glaze Region, the Supreme Expert of the Colored Glaze Region, had contacted him. He wanted the Sacred Region to lend a helping hand and help them tide through this crisis. The Sacred Region had yet to reply to him. The message from the Domain Master of the Sacred Region also mentioned that the Colored Glaze Region might request for assistance from the Dragon Palace. He was a little surprised when he saw this message. He had not expected the situation in the Colored Glaze Region to be so bad that the Domain Master of the Colored Glaze Region had personally requested for assistance. Invincible, that brat said yesterday that he had killed many demons and monsters. It seems like he was bragging. Wang Xian murmured to himself. The Domain Master of the Sacred Region had sent him a message mainly to see the Dragon Palace's opinion. If the Colored Glaze Region approached the Dragon Palace and the Dragon Palace was willing to lend a helping hand, they might agree. If the Dragon Palace did not agree to provide assistance, they would also reject it. After all, in terms of strength, the Colored Glaze Region was several times stronger than the Sacred Region. If they were to fall into the Colored Glaze Region, the Sacred Region would be in big trouble. Wang. Just as Wang Xian was thinking, the communication stone plate at the side vibrated. Huh. Invincible, that guy? Wang Xian looked at the message and clicked on it. Wow, Boss Wang, you're so cool today. Just as he clicked on the video, he heard Invincible's exaggerated voice. His face darkened slightly. Hurry up and spit it out, he said directly, speechless. Hee, Boss Wang, there's something and it's something big, but it's about the Colored Glaze Region. Boss Wang, the experts of the Colored Glaze Region want me to contact you and request for assistance from the Dragon Palace. Invincible smiled and said. Chapter 29:14. Huh. When Wang Xian heard what Invincible said, he raised his eyebrows slightly. He knocked on the table lightly and continued to watch Invincible. Boss Wang, Lioli territory can't hold on much longer. The Mechanic Emperor region has a large number of their experts, and Chime region almost got into trouble not long ago. If it wasn't for me, Invincible, who made use of the celestial slaying gourd, mastery of earth and other treasures to kill 2 God Emperor demons, I'm afraid the Third Army would have suffered heavy losses. Cough, I've said too much. Lioli territory is requesting support from Dragon Palace to help them resolve this crisis. They have offered a lot of rewards. Boss Wang, take a look. This is a list of rewards that Lioli territory has given me. Invincible took out a list of resources and presented it to the camera. Wang Xian's eyes lit up as he scanned through. The resources were mainly glazed double-color stone, 5-color stone, and other treasures. The rewards were indeed generous. If Dragon Palace could absorb this amount of resources, they could produce at least a dozen God Emperor experts. It seems like Lioli territory is really in danger. Otherwise, they wouldn't have offered so many treasures. Moreover, these treasures are only to help them tide through the crisis. I guess a dozen God Emperors would be enough. Wang Xian thought to himself. This deal was doable. If the Dragon Palace wanted to give birth to an Emperor God expert, it would probably take 1 to 2 years with the resources that they had obtained now to produce an Emperor God. To other regions, this speed might be as fast as the sky. But for Dragon Palace, it was slow. As long as they could help Lioli territory tide through this crisis, they could produce a dozen God Emperors. That was pretty good. Boss Wang, the experts from Lioli territory also said that Dragon Palace can make any requests. Seeing that Wang Xian was hesitating, Invincible Fighter added. I can even make requests? Wang Xian raised his eyebrows and squinted his eyes. All right then. Invincible, tell them that they can offer less resources, but Dragon Palace wants all the corpses of the demons they killed. If they agree, I'll bring the experts from Dragon Palace over, Wang Xian said. Swoosh. Upon hearing Wang Xian's words, the first Supreme Elder and the rest, who were seated around Jean F.A. Wudi, immediately stood up with excitement. The Dragon King has come in person. One of the God Emperors let out a low roar in excitement as his eyes flashed with a hint of excitement. The Dragon King was able to kill the sorcerers in seconds. In their opinion, the Dragon King's strength should be close to that of their domain master. If the Dragon King were to come here personally, the reward would not be much. Moreover, it didn't matter if they gave the demons to the Dragon Palace. What they needed was to get through this crisis. As for the corpses of the demons, although they were valuable, they were useless if they were dead. Wudi, agree with the Dragon King immediately. If the Dragon King is willing to bring his men here personally, we will definitely give the Xiaolong Palace all the rewards. The Supreme Great Elder and the others exchanged glances and immediately spoke to Invincible. Wang Xian, who was in the video, could hear his words clearly. All right, I'll rush over now. Send me the coordinates of a planet closest to the Holy Land. If our Dragon Palace is willing to help, you can invite the Sanctuary and they will be willing to help. Wang Xian answered directly. Thank you for your help, Dragon King. The Lioli domain will be forever grateful. The Supreme Great Elder and the others replied immediately. All right, I'm hanging up. Upon hearing the gratitude from the other side, Wang Xian spoke to Invincible and hung up the call. Hee, Boss Wang is really easy to talk to. With Boss Wang's help, even the small demons and monsters will be wiped out easily. When the 9 divine dragons come, even the demons and monsters will tremble in fear. Seeing that the video call ended, Invincible lifted his head slightly and said proudly, Hee. The Supreme Great Elder and the others chuckled and were in a good mood. Invincible, I'll give you an address later. Send it to the Dragon King, and we will go over to welcome the Dragon King personally. The Supreme Great Elder and the others said, All right. Invincible nodded and suddenly squinted his eyes. Great Elder, fellow God Emperors, I, Invincible, have heard a lot about you guys. Can you take a photo with me? As Invincible spoke, he took out the artificial intelligence and grinned. Sure. The God Emperors from the Lioli domain were taken aback and immediately nodded. It was just a photo. Since he was just a kid, they naturally had to cooperate. What the hell are you up to, kid? Seeing his strange behavior, the God Emperor of Upper Water felt that he was up to no good and asked him, What can I do, master? I'm just taking a photo. Invincible explained hurriedly. After taking the photo, he couldn't hold back his laughter. The God Emperors didn't mind. They immediately reported the news to the Domain Lord and prepared for the next step. As for Invincible, he turned on the artificial intelligence and looked at the photo he took with the God Emperors from the Lioli domain. His lips curved into a smile. A bunch of little brothers, watch your words. Look at the photo I took with the God Emperors. You bunch of scums, don't be arrogant in front of me in the future. I just contacted my boss Wang, the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace. Do you know why I contacted the Dragon Palace? The Lioli domain is in a crisis now. I'm asking for the Dragon King's help. With my help, I invited the Dragon Palace. The Dragon King is coming over to help you personally. When the time comes, I'll show you the strength of the Dragon Palace and the gap between you and the Dragon Palace. The arrival of my boss Wang will easily solve the crisis in the Lioli domain. Be obedient when you speak to me in the future. I'm your savior. Looking at the words he had edited, he couldn't hold back his laughter. He attached the photo and sent it over directly. In the Lioli region, countless people were ridiculing Unrivaled Battle Mage's first message. Seeing this message, everyone could not help but be slightly stunned. Prime Minister Turtle, inform the disciples of the God Emperors of the Dragon Palace to get ready. At the location of the Dragon Palace, Wang Xian called Prime Minister Turtle over and told him about the situation in the Lioli domain. Yes, Dragon King. This trip to the Lioli domain is indeed a great opportunity for the Dragon Palace. If we can get a large amount of resources, it will be a great improvement for the Dragon Palace. Prime Minister Turtle nodded. Yeah, and this time, we can get to know the Chi-Mei domain and the Mechanic Emperor domain better. Wang Xian nodded. He had some understanding of the Chi-Mei domain. It was the place where the spiritual energy on Earth had recovered. Chapter 29:15. Seeking help from the Dragon Palace. 6 demons were a term used on Earth. In the resplendent starry sky, they were sometimes referred to as demons, 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 or demons. As for why they were called that, Wang Xian had no idea. Demons had a very powerful ability. They could be summoned through a certain method. The summoning was not limited by distance. The summoned demons were bound by the summoner. However, the demons' lairs would be summoned along with the demons. This demon's lairs had a terrifying ability to assimilate a living creature into a demon and reduce its rationality. A large number of demons were summoned to assimilate the summoner, wreaking havoc in the void and increasing their strength. The crisis in the Lioli domain this time was because the Lioli domain found out that the summoned demons had returned. Demons were very strong. In a demon's lair, there would be a large number of demons and a demon leader. The battles between demons and demons would usually involve a demon's lair and a large number of demons to invade. However, this had a fatal weakness. Once the opponent was strong enough, they would be able to counterattack the demon's lair and kill all the demons. The reason why Wang Xian agreed to the invitation of the Lioli domain was firstly because of their remuneration. Secondly, the demon's lair and the demons in it. If the Dragon Palace wanted to improve tremendously, it could only go through war and slaughter. Clearly, the demons region was a good choice. Buzz buzz. At this time, Invincible Fighter sent a location with a message. Wang Xian stood up immediately when he saw the message. Prime Minister Turtle, I'll head over personally this time. After I'm there, I'll build a dragon palace in the ocean of the Lioli domain. I'll be waiting for your orders. He instructed Prime Minister Turtle. Yes, Dragon King. Prime Minister Turtle nodded. Wang Xian moved and disappeared in the next moment. He appeared in front of the teleportation formation of the Dragon Palace. After stepping into the teleportation formation, Wang Xian arrived at the territory of the Sacred Region. It was a planet with life near the central region of the Sacred Region. Now that the Dragon Palace had built dragon palaces on dozens of planets in the Sacred Region, it was much more convenient to travel. After flying out of the Dragon Palace, Wang Xian used the teleportation formation of the Sacred Region and flew towards the border of the Lioli domain. Swoosh! When he arrived at a planet at the border of the Sacred Region and the Lioli region, Wang Xian leaped and appeared in the void. The wings of the unbeginning spread out, and he looked forward. He squinted his eyes slightly, and there was an eager look in his eyes. I wonder how fast I can fly at full speed. He flapped his wings slightly, and in the next moment, he instantly disappeared into the horizon. According to some records, a First-Order God Emperor Realm expert would need 10 days to travel from the Saint Realm's border to the nearest life star in the Glaze region. However, with Wang Xian's speed, he could shorten the time by dozens of times. Wang Xian shuttled through the void at a terrifying speed. He tore the space apart and flew between the gaps of the space. Like a ray of light, he sped along at high speed. An hour later, Wang Xian came out of the space gap at a reduced speed. He looked around and revealed a faint smile. 1 hour. My speed is really terrifying. Wang Xian looked at the time and the distance. His lips curled into a smile. He continued flying for another 3 minutes before a habitable planet appeared in front of him. Using his divine sense, he came to the landmark of this planet, a tall tower. At this moment, a group of people on the tower were setting up something. In the next moment, Wang Xian stood on the high platform. The group of people at the side had not noticed his arrival. I heard that the Dragon King will be coming to our place later. The Dragon King of the Dragon Palace. We will be lucky to meet him later. Who do you think is stronger, the Dragon King or our territorial master? Of course it's our territorial master. Our territorial master became an emperor god 50 million years ago. He is so powerful that even the creators of the Mechanic Emperor domain are afraid of him. The Dragon King should be very powerful too. However, I did not expect the battlefield between the Lioli region and the enchantment region to be in such a crisis that we are forced to ask for reinforcements. Fortunately, the Dragon Palace is willing to help us. It's mainly because our territorial master and a group of experts are guarding the border of the Mechanic Emperor domain to prevent the Mechanic Emperor domain from attacking. Otherwise, we can easily get rid of the enchantment region. Now, that brat named Invincible Warrior is too arrogant. How dare he say that we are inferior to the Dragon Palace and that we are trash? I'm so angry. If I see him, I'll definitely beat him up. That brat's mouth stinks as if he ate shit. However, it's true that he killed 2 First-Order God Emperor Realm demonic beasts with the help of a treasure. Moreover, this brat can take pictures with us God Emperors. He is very capable. I heard from the soldiers at the front line that this brat is very arrogant. However, he has the capital to be arrogant. I heard that many young masters and mistresses are planning to teach him a lesson. They said that as long as he eats in the Lioli region, they will find someone to put shit in his food. I think this is the way to deal with this brat. Pfft, put shit, huh? On the tall tower, a group of people laughed as they set up things and chatted. Wang Xian, who was standing at the side, was slightly stunned and speechless when he heard their conversation. How long has this invincible warrior been in the Lioli region? He is already famous in the entire Lioli region and wants to put shit in his food? Awesome, awesome. You. Who are you? Who are you? At this time, someone suddenly noticed Wang Xian's presence. He was completely stunned as he stared at Wang Xian with widened eyes and vigilance. Where's the God Emperor from the Lioli region? Wang Xian asked them plainly. The God Emperor from the Lioli region? Upon hearing Wang Xian's words, the group of people who were setting up on the tall tower were taken aback as they stared at Wang Xian with widened eyes. On his head was a 5-colored crown with the symbol of the divine dragon. He wore 8 different colored divine dragon attire and gave off a profound vibe. You are the Dragon King? An old man narrowed his eyes and asked in a probing manner. Yeah. Wang Xian nodded his head plainly and asked again. Where's the God Emperor from the Lioli region? Greetings, Dragon King. Greetings, Dragon King. The old man shivered and knelt down immediately. The group of people around him also shivered and knelt down as well. Lord Dragon King, our God Emperors are rushing towards us. They told us that you were coming and asked us to get ready. We didn't expect you to arrive so soon. The old man said with a face full of awe. Yeah. Wang Xian nodded his head and revealed a faint smile. It seemed like he was too fast and had arrived in advance. They're here. However, at this time, he looked down and saw 3 God Emperors rushing towards him at high speed. Chapter 29:16. The shocking decision of the Dragon Palace. Wang. Soon, 3 majestic figures flew over from the top of the tower and landed. However, they were taken aback when they saw the group of experts kneeling on the ground. Looking at the smiling young man, their pupils constricted slightly. Sensing the boundless pressure from him, the 3 of them were stunned. Dragon King? The old man leading the group was taken aback as he asked Wang Xian. Wang Xian nodded his head. Greetings, Dragon King. The 3 of them were still in a daze when they saw Wang Xian admitting to it. You're welcome. Are we going to meet your territorial lord now? Wang Xian asked. This Dragon King. We thought it would take more than 10 hours for you to rush over from the Imperial Star Domain. We didn't expect you to be here so soon. The 3 of us from Project Colored Glaze, along with Supreme Elder Qingshan and the rest, are here to welcome you. Now that we have just arrived, the first Supreme Elder and the rest are not here yet. Emperor God Colored Glaze, who was in the middle, said awkwardly. They had rushed over immediately after receiving news of the Dragon King's arrival. They immediately ordered the manager of this planet to make arrangements to welcome the Dragon King. However, they did not expect the Dragon King to arrive earlier than them. One should know that the Dragon King had rushed over from the Imperial Star Domain. How could he be so fast? It's all right. Let's wait for them. Oh yes. Do you have an artificial intelligence system? Let me see some information about the Colored Glaze region. Wang Xian smiled and shook his head as he spoke to them. Yes. Dragon King, please wait here for a moment. I'll contact the first Supreme Elder and get them to hurry. The three Emperor Gods replied immediately as they handed Wang Xian an artificial intelligence system. Subsequently, they got the surrounding people to bring some chairs and some tea over. The manager of this planet immediately went to make the necessary preparations. After receiving the artificial intelligence system from Emperor God Colored Glaze, Wang Xian opened it. As soon as he opened it, he saw a few trending topics. Some of them were about Invincible Warrior. He opened it and looked at the video he had posted and some of the replies. Then, he looked at the second message and a speechless expression appeared on his face. This guy is still the same as before, Wang Xian remarked plainly. Feeling bored, he looked at the replies below. There were all kinds of comments about invincibility. However, the people of the Lioli region also understood that invincible battle law had a very deep background. It was possible that he had a very good relationship with their Lord God Emperor. Hence, they did not scold him. However, there were many people who said that his combat techniques were invincible and ugly like all kinds of dire beasts. They even gave him a lot of weird videos. It was quite interesting. Boss Wang, you're too fast. Not long after, a very familiar voice sounded. Wang Xian looked over and saw three figures flying over at high speed. An old man he didn't know, Shangshui God Emperor, and Zhan Fa Wudi. Greetings, Dragon King. I'm sorry to have kept you waiting. We were prepared to welcome you, Dragon King. The other old man was the first Supreme Elder. He apologized to Wang Xian. It's nothing. Wang Xian shook his head nonchalantly. Boss Wang, the speed at which you rushed here is too fast. Invincible walked over and said in surprise. It's not a long journey, so I flew here by myself. Wang Xian patted on Invincible Battle Law's shoulder and greeted Shangshui God Emperor with a nod. Thank you, Dragon King, for your help this time. Dragon King, we'll bring you to our territorial lord. Our territorial lord is currently guarding the border to prevent the mechanic Emperor domain from interfering. She can't come here directly. Please forgive us, Dragon King. The first Supreme Elder said to him, It's all right. Our Dragon Palace has been keeping an eye on the situation in the Lioli region. I understand. Wang Xian shook his head. He knew that the territorial lord was completely pinned down at the border with the mechanic Emperor domain. Let's head over directly. Wang Xian said to them, Thank you, Dragon King, for your understanding. This way, please. The first Supreme Elder smiled and gestured. Wang Xian nodded and followed behind. He waved his arm and kept the immortal slaying gourd, Scar of the Venerable One, and Earth Control from Invincible Battle Law. Wow, Boss Wang, leave one for me too. Invincible Battle Law screamed in agony. Following the Supreme Elder of the Lioli region, they passed through the teleportation formations. 3 hours later, they arrived at a desolate starry sky. The place that the teleportation formation reached wasn't a planet, but a continent. A continent with a strong military. Thank you, Dragon King, for coming. A voice was heard when Wang Xian flew out. A gentle-looking and amiable old man walked towards Wang Xian and extended his palm. Around him, there were 20 elders, and every one of them was at the level of a god emperor. Clearly, this old man was the Lioli region lord, the strongest expert in Lioli region, and also the strongest expert in the entire Lioli region. You must be the territorial lord. Nice to meet you. Wang Xian walked over, extended his hand with a smile, and shook hands with the territorial lord. It's a blessing for the Lioli region that the Dragon King is willing to lend us a hand. Here, I'd like to thank the Dragon Palace for their assistance. The territorial lord expressed his gratitude again. You're too kind, territorial lord. Wang Xian exchanged some pleasantries with him before following the territorial lord to the palace at the side. Around them, a group of emperor gods followed. Some of the soldiers looked over curiously. Wang Xian scanned the surroundings. The surrounding void was filled with the soldiers of the Lioli region, each with a powerful war weapon. On the opposite side were terrifying warships that emitted a metallic luster, exuding a sinister aura. Wang Xian couldn't help but look at the various powerful technological weapons. The mechanic emperor domain is pressing down on us, and the creator is in the center. If it weren't for them, we wouldn't be in such a passive position, the territorial lord said when he saw Wang Xian's gaze. Wang Xian nodded his head slightly. The mechanic emperor domain was a unique life form. They were created, and the creator had the power to decide the life and death of all the robots. A long time ago, the mechanic emperor domain was a human star region with extremely advanced technology. Their robot manufacturing technology was very powerful, and they could create fully intelligent robots. Even in battles, they controlled the robots to do so. Later on, for unknown reasons, the robots rebelled, killed all the humans, and established the current mechanic emperor domain. In this resplendent starry sky, the leader of the mechanic emperor domain, the creator, had lived the longest. The creator was the leader of the robot rebellion and had existed for more than 1 billion years. The lifespan of an emperor god was only 100 million years. One could imagine what kind of existence they were. The mechanic emperor domain represented the strongest technological means in the resplendent starry sky. It was a pity that in order to pursue the advancement of technology, they had always been enemies with humans. Chapter 29:17. The shocking decision of the Dragon Palace to the existence of the mechanic emperor domain had always been a threat to humans. When they were weak, they laid low and developed. Later on, when they gradually grew stronger, they wanted to invade the Lioli region. However, as the #1 region in the Resplendent Void, the Lioli region had a strong foundation and many experts. The mechanic emperor domain had never succeeded. Moreover, as the mechanic emperor domain was surrounded by boundless void, they could only enter other regions in the Resplendent Void by attacking the Lioli region. This was also the reason why the mechanic emperor domain always wanted to destroy the Lioli region. In particular, the Lioli region was rich in resources and had the glazed double-colored stone and the 5-colored stone that the mechanic emperor domain coveted. As long as there were enough glazed double-colored stones, the creator could create powerful robots of the emperor god level. With the 5-colored stone, they could create even stronger robots. The mechanic emperor domain wanted to invade the Lioli region once they had the chance. Dragon King, this way please. Following the territorial lord to a hall, the territorial lord gestured to the center. Wang Xian nodded and sat down. The territorial lord sat beside him, and the rest of the emperor gods sat around. Dragon King, we have no choice but to seek help from the Dragon Palace. I believe you have a better understanding of the current situation in the Lioli region. We are very grateful that the Dragon Palace is willing to help. We can give you a portion of the reward in advance. The territorial lord sat down and said to Wang Xian, Hee, I believe in Lioli. I didn't bring any subordinates this time. I'll have to trouble you to give me a planet with an ocean. I'll build a teleportation formation on the planet. Based on the situation in the Lioli region, the Dragon Palace can send more experts over at any time to help Lioli overcome this crisis. Wang Xian said with a smile. Oh? The Dragon Palace's array formation is really powerful to be able to build a teleportation formation over such a long distance. A planet is a small matter. I'll get someone to send it over immediately. The territorial lord nodded with slight surprise. I wonder if you want us to help you deal with the enchantment region, or to help you defend against the mechanic emperor domain. Wang Xian asked the territorial lord. Dragon King, this is all the information about the enchantment region and the mechanic emperor domain. You can take a look at it yourself. The territorial lord said with a smile and handed him the information. Wang Xian took it and switched it on. The first thing he did was to read the information about the Chime region. His purpose of coming here this time was to hunt the demons of Chime region. The more Dragon Palace members they killed, the more Dragon Palace would reap. I didn't expect this Chime region to be so strong. When Wang Xian saw the information about the region of enchantment, he was shocked. Compared to the information obtained by the Dragon Palace, the intelligence system was much more detailed. The Dragon Palace only had a rough idea, but as the Lioli region, they had detailed information. They had sent countless scouts into Chime region to investigate the situation. According to the information, Lioli region had found that there were more than 20 God Emperor level demons in Chime region. This was only what they had discovered. There were still many things that they had yet to discover. However, The demon fiend god emperor of the Chi Mei region did not mean that he would invade the colored glaze region. Currently, there were only a dozen demon evil god emperors, and their races that had invaded. However, since the war started, more and more demon evil god emperors had joined in with their demon dens. The colored glaze region was getting more and more worried. The demons of the colored glaze region can be summoned to another void. Not long ago, we discovered that the summoned demons were returning one by one. Moreover, many of them are extremely powerful. In a short period of time, the Chi Mei region has gained more than a dozen demon evil god emperors and their races. This is a huge threat to our colored glaze region. Moreover, according to the information we received, there is a demon den in the center of the Chi Mei region. In that demon den, there is a terrifying demon whose strength should be at the third order void god emperor realm. Currently, that demon evil god emperor has not shown any signs of invading our colored glaze region. Considering all these factors, we have decided to request for assistance from the Dragon Palace Sanctuary. The territorial lord said directly. Wang Xian nodded slightly. With such a terrifying existence appearing next door, the colored glaze region was naturally worried. After looking at the information about the Chi Mei region, Wang Xian flipped through the information about the Mechanic Emperor domain. Regarding the Mechanic Emperor domain, the colored glaze region was also very familiar. The greatest threat of the Mechanic Emperor domain was the Master of Creation. He was the ruler of the entire Mechanic Emperor domain. The robots of the Mechanic Emperor domain enhanced their strength through various materials and treasures they could not cultivate. However, they had one thing that was very strong. Their army had absolute rational combat strength and terrifying calculation ability. They also had countless warships and fighter aircrafts. Their warships and fighter aircrafts were equivalent to a special life form. This was because these aircrafts and warships had their own intelligence, just like the robots. The robots had no weaknesses and were extremely strong. According to the territorial lord's estimation, the strength of the Master of Creation was only slightly weaker than his. However, they had not fought for thousands of years, so he did not know how strong the Master of Creation was. The colored glaze region guessed that the robot's strength was a notch lower than theirs. There were also about 20 God Emperor realm existences. From the information, the strength of the Mechanic Emperor domain and the Chi Mei region were similar. The difference was that the Chi Mei region did not completely invade. Dragon King, you can consider it. No matter which one you fight, the colored glaze region will be the main force. The Dragon Palace only needs to support us. The territorial lord said. All right. Wang Xian nodded. He was not in a hurry. He would wait for the experts of the Dragon Palace to arrive and understand the situation before making a decision. However, in fact, Wang Xian had already made his choice. Dragon King, a planet is ready. After chatting with the territorial lord for dozens of minutes, a god emperor walked in, nodded at the territorial lord, and informed Wang Xian. All right, I'll head over now. Lead the way. Wang Xian immediately stood up and said, Yes, Dragon King. The god emperor nodded, and the group flew out. The living planet was transported by the experts of the colored glaze region to a location not far away from the war continent. Wang Xian looked over and immediately flew over. This was a relatively backward planet. There were some animals living on it, but they were very weak. Wang Xian moved and dived into the ocean. The territorial lord and the rest floated in the air and waited quietly. Build the Dragon Palace. Wang Xian entered the ocean and immediately built a Dragon Palace. He entered the teleportation formation and returned to the Dragon Palace instantly. Prime Minister Turtle, bring the 20 God Emperors of the Dragon Palace out and get ready. Wang Xian ordered immediately. Yes, Dragon King. Prime Minister Turtle nodded immediately. Soon, Ao Tian, Ao Qi, Ao Xie, Yamada no Devil Fiend, and 3 of the more active Wind Divine Dragons followed. Let's go and check out the situation together, Wang Xian said to them. Prime Minister Turtle followed suit and stepped into the teleportation formation. Chapter 29:18 Dragon Palace's Shocking Decision. 3-inch Territorial Lord. How strong is the Dragon King? In the sky above the desolate planet, An emperor god looked down at the dragon palace in the ocean and asked the territorial lord curiously. The rest of the emperor gods also looked at the territorial lord. The rapid rise of the dragon palace and the destruction of two major forces in the bedazzling star region made many people say that the dragon palace was the strongest force in the bedazzling star region. As emperor gods of the Lioli region, they were curious about the strength of the dragon palace even though they didn't say anything. Was the dragon palace really stronger than them? The dragon king should be on the same level as me, the territorial lord said after pondering for a while. He could sense a trace of Wang Xian's aura. In that case, with the addition of the divine dragon, the dragon palace is really strong. An emperor god said with flickering eyes. To be able to destroy two major forces and force the 8 desolations to flee, the dragon palace is really something. The few emperor gods at the side also sighed. The dragon king and the rest are out. Such speed. The dragon palace is really strong in terms of arrays. At this moment, they saw Wang Xian leading a group of experts out of the ocean and exclaimed, 21 underlings and 20 emperor gods. The emperor gods from the Lioli region looked over with glistening eyes. The territorial lord revealed a smile. He had brought 20 emperor gods with him. It was the right decision to ask for help from the dragon palace. With such strength, the Lioli region would be able to survive this crisis safely. Welcome, brothers from the dragon palace. The territorial lord and the rest welcomed Wang Xian and the rest as they flew over. Hee, you're too kind. Devilish 8 branches took the lead and responded. Then, the emperor gods from the dragon palace looked around curiously. Everyone, our Lioli region has prepared a sumptuous banquet. Let's talk about the next step after the banquet. The territorial lord invited. All right. Wang Xian nodded his head and followed the territorial lord and the rest towards the continental plate ahead. Huh. At this moment, Wang Xian and the rest exclaimed, Metal lump from the mechanic emperor region. Go to hell. Just then, one of the emperor gods behind the territorial master revealed a cold look in his eyes. He moved and flew towards the void in front of him. Bam! A stream of flame energy hit a spot in the void, making a sound of collision. One of the invisible detection devices was destroyed. Humph! Emperor God Luli humphed coldly and waved her arm again. Bam, bam, bam. The sound of collision rang out again. One by one, the invisible detection devices were destroyed and fell to the ground. These are the machines of the Mechanic Emperor's domain. They have powerful detection abilities. They hide in the spatial cracks to investigate the surroundings. Ordinary God Kings won't be able to sense them. The situation on our side has been completely investigated by them. The Domain Lord looked over and said indifferently, Oh, that's quite powerful. Even if you're discovered, you can still detect some situations. Wang Xian raised his eyebrows and said. The Region Master nodded. Such a thing? Roving Crab, who was behind Wang Xian, waved his arm when he saw the detection devices falling onto the ground. 5 detection devices flew towards him. What's wrong, Roving Crab? Did you discover anything? Prime Minister Turtle asked Aosia curiously. This material? Aosia took out a machine and sensed it, his eyes flashing. The next moment, he opened his mouth and bit it. Crunch, crunch. Roving Crab took a bite and tasted it. The Emperor gods from the Azure region were taken aback as they looked at him with astonishment. Not bad. However, Aosia's next sentence caused the god emperors of Luli region to be stunned. TSK, TSK, TSK. The taste is good and the energy is abundant. Dragon King, this thing will be extremely useful to our devouring dragon. Roving Crab said to Wang Xian with beaming eyes. Oh? Wang Xian raised his eyebrows. All the machines in the Mechanic Emperor's domain are a special life form, a life form that is integrated with the metal material. This will be very useful to the devouring dragon? Yes, Dragon King. These machines are similar to the Holy Nation and will be very useful to us. TSK, TSK. What a feast. As Roving Crab spoke, he looked at the battleships and mechanical army of the Mechanic Emperor's domain with fervent eyes. Wang Xian's eyes flickered. At the side, the group of emperor gods from Lioli region did not understand what they were talking about. What did they mean? The machines in the Mechanic Emperor's domain could be eaten, and they could increase their strength after eating them? Let's talk about this later. Region Lord, let's go, Wang Xian said to Roving Crab before following the Region Lord to the War Continent. After a 2-hour banquet, Wang Xian did not respond to whether the Dragon Palace would help them deal with the Mechanic Emperor's domain or the enchantment region. After the banquet, they went straight to the Dragon Palace. Let's discuss whether we should help the Azure region against the Mechanic Emperor's domain or the enchantment region. Since we are here, we are not here for the rewards from the Azure region. Instead, we are here for more information. Originally, we were planning to hunt demons. Now that the machines in the Mechanic Emperor's domain are resources for the Devouring Dragon clan to evolve, we can choose. Sitting on the dragon throne, Wang Xian said to Prime Minister Turtle and the rest. They were ready to discuss the Dragon Palace's next move. Dragon King, let's fight the Mechanic Emperor's domain. All the machines in the Mechanic Emperor's domain are energy for our Devouring Dragon to evolve. How many robots are there in the entire Mechanic Emperor's domain? If our Devouring Dragon devours all of them, we will be able to improve tremendously, Roving Crab roared excitedly. Hey, Brother Crab, I was thinking of improving my strength to the Second Order Void God Emperor realm. Yamada no Orochi said discontentedly. 8 heads, shut up. Roving Crab stared at him. If not for your many subordinates, I would have killed you. 8 heads pouted and did not dare to be arrogant in front of Roving Crab. Roving Crab had millions of subordinates, and 2 of them had the combat power of a First Order God Emperor. Dragon King, didn't you negotiate with the Azure Region Lord and the rest? The corpses of the demons they hunt will belong to our Dragon Palace. Our Dragon Palace will guard this area for them. We can kill the robots and improve our Devouring Dragon. The corpses of the demons killed by the Azure region will eventually be sent to us, Prime Minister Turtle said. Although Prime Minister Turtle had not reached the God Emperor realm, he was still the second in command in the Dragon Palace. Moreover, Prime Minister Turtle was considering the future development of the Dragon Palace. If we fight against the robots, it won't be as simple as guarding this area for them. Wang Xian's eyes flickered as he said faintly, the Mechanic Emperor's domain is the enemy of humans. As long as they have the strength, they will invade all living beings. Why don't we sweep them clean? Prime Minister Turtle said. Chapter 29:19. The shocking decision of the Dragon Palace for wipe out the Mechanic Emperor domain. Since the Dragon Palace was ready to intervene in the affairs of the Lioli region and obtain some resources, it would not be as simple as assisting the Lioli region. Wang Xian's original plan was to kill a large number of demons in the enchantment region. But now, he could shift his target to the Mechanic Emperor domain. Dragon King, I think it's doable. Let our Devouring Dragons take part in this battle. Aosia's eyes lit up as he spoke. Since we have decided, let's wipe out the entire Mechanic Emperor domain. Before that, we have to be fully prepared. Wang Xian nodded his head slightly and said. Aosia's face lit up with excitement. Once they wiped out the entire Mechanic Emperor domain, all the resources in the Mechanic Emperor domain would be devoured by the Devouring Dragons. What would that mean? Their strength would definitely rise to a terrifying level. Aosia, your Devouring Dragons have earned big this time, Orochi and the rest said enviously. Hee, after wiping out the Mechanic Emperor domain, our Devouring Dragons will level up and wipe out the enchantment region. By then, all the resources in the enchantment region will be yours. Aosia smiled and said, Lioli is very familiar with the Mechanic Emperor domain. We have to get more detailed information from them. As Wang Xian spoke, he stood up. Prime Minister Turtle, follow me to the Territorial Lord. Aosia and the rest of you, return to the Dragon Palace and get your men ready. He continued to order. Yes, Dragon King. The members of the Dragon Palace answered immediately. Wang Xian brought Prime Minister Turtle and flew towards the War Continent. At this time, in a hall on the War Continent, the Territorial Lord and the rest were also waiting for news from the Dragon Palace. Dragon King. Seeing Wang Xian and the rest walking in, the group stood up and greeted. Territorial Lord, we have made a decision. Please give us a copy of all the information about the Mechanic Emperor domain. Wang Xian walked over and said, Huh, all the information about the Mechanic Emperor domain? The Dragon Palace will help us guard this place? I'll send you a copy of the information later. Now that the Mechanic Emperor domain should have received news of your arrival, they probably won't dare to attack us. The people of the Dragon Palace will help us guard this place. There shouldn't be any problem. The Domain Lord said with a smile. Since our Dragon Palace is here, we won't just sit here. The Domain Lord has given me all the information regarding the Mechanic Emperor domain, including the star map of the Mechanic Emperor domain. Our Dragon Palace is preparing to invade the Mechanic Emperor domain. Your Luli region doesn't need to participate in this war. Wang Xian smiled and shook his head. What? The region lord was slightly stunned. The group of emperor gods from the Lioli region also looked at him in astonishment. To tell you the truth, the mechs of the Mechanic Emperor domain are useful to our Dragon Palace, so we have to conquer them. If possible, we will destroy all the mechs of the Mechanic Emperor domain, said Wang Xian with flickering eyes. The expressions of the domain masters and the others changed, revealing looks of shock. They had only invited the Dragon Palace over to help them guard this place, but in the end, the Dragon Palace was going to attack the Mechanic Emperor's domain and destroy them? This was too fierce. Dragon King, it's not that easy to destroy the Mechanic Emperor domain. They are much stronger than the Imperial Court of the Shaman Association. They have a very deep foundation, and it's possible that they have very powerful means of attack. The Region Lord's expression changed as he said, Since the Dragon Palace is ready to take action, we will definitely be prepared. You just need to pass on their information to us, Region Lord. Wang Xian smiled brightly. Wang Xian was still confident in dealing with the Mechanic Emperor domain. No matter how strong the Mechanic Emperor domain was, it was only on par with the Lioli region. If they were stronger than the Lioli region, they would have long set out to conquer the Lioli region. Since they did not set out, it meant that they were not confident in defeating the Lioli region. They were not confident, but the Dragon Palace was. Now, Wang Xian had a clear understanding of the Lioli region. There were over 30 emperor gods in the entire Lioli region, and the Dragon Palace currently had 52. The emperor god of the Yamada, no devil experiment, was killed. Most importantly, the Dragon Palace had him and the Sky Formation. With Wang Xian's current strength, he was confident that he could fight against 3 to 4 emperor gods of the same level. The Sky Formation could also fight against 3. They could not be described as ordinary third-order god emperors. In addition, the mechs of the Mechanic Emperor domain had a fatal weakness. They did not have their own holy nations and could only rely on their own speed to escape. In this way, it would be much easier to hunt them. Dragon King, you still have to be careful. I will immediately order my men to send you all the information about the Mechanic Emperor domain, including some weaknesses of their mech army. The Territorial Lord said solemnly. He was also a little shocked by the Dragon King's decision. The Dragon Palace actually wanted to annihilate the Mechanic Emperor domain. This decision was simply too shocking. All right. Wang Xian nodded and looked at the Territorial Lord. Leave the Mechanic Emperor domain to us. As for the enchantment region, the Lioli region can settle it yourselves. When the time comes, we want all the corpses. He opened his mouth to remind the Territorial Lord. Rest assured, Dragon King. We will collect all the corpses as remuneration for the Dragon Palace. The Territorial Lord nodded. Territorial Lord, this is all the information about the Mechanic Emperor domain. We have been collecting and updating it for the past hundreds of millions of years. At this time, one of the Emperor gods took a communication stone plate. This was a special communication stone plate that had an extremely strong sealing ability. The Lioli region used the AI, but in terms of technology, the Mechanic Emperor domain was the strongest. Therefore, they would keep all the important information in a special place. Dragon King. The Territorial Lord took it and passed it to Wang Xian. All right. Soon, the Dragon Palace will organize an army to rush over through the teleportation formation. At that time, Territorial Lord, you can withdraw the soldiers here. Wang Xian took it and said to them with a smile, I didn't expect the Dragon King to make such a decision. I can't say much about it. I hope the Dragon Palace can win. Dragon King, if you can win, the Liuli region will be extremely grateful. We will celebrate together. The territorial lord looked at Wang Xian and said, "Hee, all right. Let's celebrate together." Wang Xian smiled and gestured to them before flying out with Prime Minister Turtle. This, territorial lord, I didn't expect the Dragon King to be so crazy. They actually decided to attack the Mechanic Emperor domain. This is the Mechanic Emperor domain. Even if the strength of those robots is weaker than the Liuli region, they can't be that much weaker. Seeing the Dragon King and the rest leaving, one of the Emperor gods from the Liuli region couldn't help but comment. Since the Dragon Palace has made such a decision, they will have a rough idea of the strength of the Mechanic Emperor domain. It's highly possible that the Dragon Palace thinks that they are stronger than us and can even annihilate the Liuli region. Therefore, they decided to attack the Mechanic Emperor domain. The territorial lord's eyes flickered as he exclaimed, "Stronger than our Liuli region? They think they can annihilate us?" The group of Emperor gods was shocked. Chapter 29:20 Dragon Palace's shocking decision. 5-inch only Dragon Palace thinks so. That's why they would attack the Mechanic Emperor domain. Otherwise, where does their confidence come from? The region master sighed. When he heard that the Dragon King was going to attack the Mechanic Emperor domain, he was equally shocked. Was the Dragon King a fool? Were the god emperors of the Dragon Palace fools? Impossible. Since they were not fools, then the Dragon Palace was really stronger than them, and probably much stronger. Otherwise, why would they dare to attack the Mechanic Emperor domain? What a surprise. The expressions of the Emperor gods of the Liuli region changed, and they were filled with shock. To them, the Dragon Palace's strength was about the same as theirs. Even with our strength, we wouldn't dare to attack the Mechanic Emperor domain. That would lead to the death of many disciples and many god emperors. The first Supreme Elder sighed. Regardless of whether the Dragon Palace has the ability to destroy the Mechanic Emperor domain, once they attack, it will be great news for the Liuli region. Order all the soldiers and disciples to get ready. Once the war between the Dragon Palace and the Mechanic Emperor domain breaks out, we will leave immediately and destroy those bastards from the demon region. The region master ordered with a cold face. Yes, the god emperors replied. Dragon King, the Mechanic Emperor domain is not weak. There are hundreds of billions of robots, and all of them are above the God Lord level. At the same time, in the Dragon Palace not far away, Wang Xian and Prime Minister Turtle were looking at the information of the Mechanic Emperor domain. They are not weak. In the past, the Mechanic Emperor domain had many weak robots, but their creator destroyed them to create stronger robots. Now, they are mainly elite warriors. Wang Xian looked at the information in front of him and sighed. Not long ago, the information given to him by the region master was only the general strength of the Mechanic Emperor domain, and this information was more detailed. Close to 1 billion years ago, there had been countless robots in the Mechanic Emperor domain. Just like humans in other domains, their numbers were endless. However, because the androids couldn't cultivate on their own, they could only rely on resources to increase their strength. Relying on resources to be born, their creator did something unimaginable. The creator destroyed all the weak androids and used the energy of the weak androids to create stronger androids. Currently, there were only a few 100 billion robots in the entire Mechanic Emperor region. Compared to the trillions of humans and creatures in other domains, it was like a drop in the ocean. Although they were few in number, they were all elites. The Colored Glaze region was so powerful, yet they did not send any forces to invade them despite the constant harassment and plunder of the Mechanic Emperor region. One could imagine just how powerful they were. It was not much weaker than the Liuli region, especially the creator, a monster that had lived for billions of years. The best resources of the entire Mechanic Emperor domain were all concentrated on him. This creator isn't simple, Wang Xian murmured. Dragon King, I'm afraid the power of the entire devouring dragon race is insufficient. Together with the Heaven's Eye Arrow Division's Mad Dragon species and the Imperial Dragon species, it should be enough. Prime Minister Turtle said, Go and inform all the Dragon Palace God Emperors, the Devouring Dragon, and the 3 Dragon Clans. That should be enough. Wang Xian nodded his head and ordered. Yes. Prime Minister Turtle immediately replied. Soon, members of the Dragon Palace flew out one by one. 51 God Emperors took the lead, while the Heaven's Eye Arrow Division, Mad Dragon Species, and Imperial Dragon Species followed behind. 9 divine dragons swayed their bodies, exuding powerful dragon might. Aosia and the other 2 First Order God Emperor Realm devouring dragons' eyes lit up with excitement. Dragon King, all members are here, Prime Minister Turtle said with a smile. Aosia, how's the preparation on your side? Wang Xian asked Aosia and the rest. Dragon King, all devouring dragons are ready, Aosia said with fighting spirit. Good. Wang Xian nodded his head and swept his gaze across the group of God Emperors. Heavenly Array, the 2 of us are in charge of killing warship weapons that can threaten God Emperors. If we encounter a creator, kill him first. 9 Wind Divine Dragons, you guys are in charge of sealing the surroundings to prevent them from escaping. Prime Minister Turtle will be in charge of commanding during the battle. AO2, protect Prime Minister Turtle. Wang Xian immediately issued orders. Yes, Dragon King. The group of Dragon Palace disciples answered loudly. Dragon King, I'll summon my subordinates first. At that moment, Aosia said. His body moved, and he immediately transformed into a ferocious devouring dragon. Devouring dragons flew out from his body that was 20,000 meters long. Soon, millions of devouring dragons flew out. Among them, the weakest had the combat strength of a 4th Order Immortal God King. As for the 3 major dragon species, as the core combat strength of Dragon Palace, the weakest among them was a 5th Order Immortal God King. There were about 1 million devouring dragons, about 200,000 berserk dragons, about 150,000 arrow dragons, and about 150,000 imperial dragons. A total of 1.5 million Dragon Palace experts. This was almost 4/5 of Dragon Palace's strength. All members of Dragon Palace memorized the star map of the Mechanic Emperor domain. Also, understand the characteristics of the various warships and armies of the Mechanic Emperor domain. Wang Xian waved his arm and displayed all the information collected by Luli region in front of the members of Dragon Palace. The members of Dragon Palace were developing rapidly, and their strength was improving rapidly. This did not mean that their intelligence was weak. On the contrary, in order to prevent such problems, Prime Minister Turtle had trained 5,000 civil officials to teach all the members of Dragon Palace various knowledge. Moreover, Prime Minister Turtle also conducted regular assessments for all members of Dragon Palace. This assessment was related to the distribution of resources for all members of Dragon Palace in the future. As a result, every member of the Dragon Palace not only possessed great strength, but also a high level of intelligence. It was no exaggeration to say that in terms of quality, Dragon Palace far surpassed the experts of other forces. Yes, Dragon King. The members of Dragon Palace answered immediately. Domain Lord, get ready. Wang Xian sent a message to the Domain Lord when all the members of Dragon Palace were looking through the information. At this time, in the void in front of War Mainland, the Domain Lord and the group of God Emperors were floating in the void. After receiving the message from Dragon King, he looked at the planet where Dragon Palace was located. Get all the soldiers and disciples ready to evacuate. The Domain Lord ordered the group of God Emperors. Yes, Domain Lord. The group of God Emperors nodded and flew away. At the same time, they looked at the planet where Dragon Palace was located from time to time. They were also curious about what kind of force Dragon Palace would send to conquer the Mechanic Emperor domain later. Chapter 29-21. Retreat? What's going on? The Region Lord actually ordered all our soldiers to retreat? What's going on? The Mechanic Emperor domain hasn't evacuated yet. Are we retreating now? I heard from the Emperor God that we'll leave this side to the Dragon Palace. We'll go and deal with the situation at the Chime region. We've asked for help from the Dragon Palace. The Dragon King has already sent reinforcements to guard this place for us. So we've really asked for help from the Dragon Palace. But with their strength, don't they need some help from our army? Invincible said on the artificial intelligence system that the Dragon Palace is stronger than us. I don't know if it's true, but with the Dragon Palace's help, we'll be under less pressure. Two-thirds of the Lioli region's army and strength were guarding the border of the Mechanic Emperor domain. Hearing the order to retreat, many soldiers were filled with astonishment. They heaved a sigh of relief when they learned that the Dragon Palace had come to help. They were clear about the current situation of the Lioli region. With the help of the Dragon Palace, they would be under less pressure. Because of the two messages on the artificial intelligence system, they were curious about the Dragon Palace's strength. All the soldiers wanted to know how strong the Dragon Palace was and whether they were stronger than them. All the soldiers retreated in an organized manner. Dragon Palace, are they going to guard this place for the Lioli region? Humph. At this moment, in front of them, there was an endless fleet of space warships. On the warships that exuded a cold aura, the dark and deep cannons were filled with terrifying power. On the warships, rows of fighter jets spread their wings and soared. Apart from that, on a huge space warship, there were densely packed biohumans. Each of the cyborgs was wearing heavy armor. Their faces were ferocious, and they looked like powerful zombies. Other than the warships, fighter jets, and biohumans, there were also huge mechas. Some of the mechas were tens of thousands of meters in size. There were human-shaped ones and spider-shaped ones. They were all terrifying battle mechas. On a high platform in the middle of a warship that was tens of millions of kilometers long, a burly robot that shone with golden light sat inside. He was the master creator, the master of the Mechanic Emperor domain, the supreme existence. In the Mechanic Emperor domain, no robot dared to go against him. The master creator sat there and looked at the opposite side quietly, his eyes shining. He had already received news of the arrival of the Dragon Palace's Dragon King. He was furious that the Dragon Palace had interfered in the matters between them and the Lioli region. How dare you interfere in our war? One day, I will command the mechanical warship to fly above the Dragon Palace and capture that legendary divine dragon for research. Information flashed in the cold pupils of the Master of Creation, and it was filled with coldness. Buzz. At this moment, he looked in one direction and slowly stood up. Dense amounts of data appeared in his eyes. He was looking at the planet where the Dragon Palace was located. Dragon roars resounded throughout the Colored Glaze region and the Mechanic Emperor region. In the center of the confrontation between the armies of these two regions, it was filled with unscrupulousness. 9 divine wind dragons were pulling a dragon throne in the center. Wang Xian sat on the dragon throne, surrounded by dozens of emperor gods from the Dragon Palace. As for the other Dragon Palace emperor gods, they were hidden among the members of Dragon Palace. At the rear, 1.5 million experts of Dragon Palace exuded a terrifying aura, with the devouring dragon as the leader. They had 18 razor-sharp claws, and their bodies ranged from 2,000 meters to 10,000 meters. They were filled with the stench of blood and desolation. The group of experts from Dragon Palace flew towards the front of the Lioli region's war continent. That's the army of Dragon Palace. They are here. SSS, what a terrifying aura. Most of the experts from Dragon Palace are not humans, but their aura is so terrifying, so strong. Just this aura alone is enough to make one tremble. How many experts did Dragon Palace send this time? Is that the divine dragon in the center? The legendary divine dragon? The soldiers of the Lioli region were shocked when they heard the roar of the divine wind dragon. Around them, millions of eyes looked in the direction of the army of Dragon Palace. In the middle of the void, the domain master and the other emperor gods also looked over, their eyes gleaming. Roar, roar. The divine dragon roared, swaying its body as it rushed over. 25 emperor gods doesn't seem to be a lot, but the strength of the disciples from Dragon Palace is so terrifying. None of them is lower than a 4th-order immortal god king. The number of emperor gods from Dragon Palace is less than we expected. Did they hide their strength on purpose? But the strength of their disciples is really terrifying. There are at least 1.5 million of them. The weakest is a 4th-order immortal god king, and there are more than 1 million of them. Our Lioli region can't compare to them in terms of god king realm strength. The group of emperor gods looked at the terrifying army of Dragon Palace with shock in their eyes. Even the domain master's eyes flickered. Dragon Palace is still hiding their strength, but I can't sense how much they are hiding. The domain master said solemnly, they are still hiding their strength? Could there be a god emperor hidden in the army? The Lioli region's emperor gods widened their eyes in shock. The domain master nodded slowly. His cultivation had already reached the third-order god emperor realm, and he could vaguely sense that there were god emperors hidden in the army of Dragon Palace, but he could only sense them clearly by releasing his divine sense. Clearly, he could not do such a provocative thing. Dragon Palace's God King Realm army is quite terrifying. The domain master couldn't help but comment after a few seconds of silence. The God King Realm army had completely exceeded their expectations. How terrifying. SSS, look at the group of experts behind Dragon Palace. Why do I feel that none of them are weaker than me? A fourth-order Immortal King Realm soldier from Lioli region couldn't help but growl. His words caused the hearts of all the soldiers to tremble. Dragon King. The domain master made a move and headed towards Wang Xian and the rest. She shouted from afar as she sized up the 9-wind divine dragons. She was shocked. Domain master, leave this to our Dragon Palace. Wang Xian said to him. All right. The domain master nodded and looked around. All soldiers and disciples of Lioli region, retreat 100 million kilometers and prepare to leave. He immediately shouted in a deep voice. Yes, domain master. The voices of the soldiers could be heard from the surroundings. Dragon Palace, are you really going to participate in the war between us and Lioli region? Suddenly, from the direction of the Mechanic Emperor's domain, a mechanical voice pierced through the void and resounded in the surroundings. Huh. Wang Xian squinted his eyes when he heard the voice. He stood up slowly and looked towards the source of the voice. The yin-yang 5 elements dragon's eyes flickered as it stared at the figure on the huge battleship billions of kilometers away. Both of them looked at each other from afar. The error-free chapters of the Invincible Divine Dragon Cultivation System will continue to be updated on the mobile game bar. There will be no advertisements on the website. Please bookmark and recommend the mobile game bar. Please bookmark the Invincible Divine Dragon Cultivation System. Invincible Divine Dragon Cultivation System. Chapter 29-22. Conquering the Mechanic Emperor Domain. 2. The creator was at least 3 to 4 meters tall when he stood up. His entire body was emitting golden radiance, and his chest was inlaid with gems that contained immense energy. He wore golden gloves on his arms, and the gloves were also inlaid with dazzling gems. His cold eyes were filled with killing intent as he stared at Wang Xian. Hee, so what if I join in? Wang Xian stared at the creator and asked plainly. Then you will pay for everything that happened today. The creator's mechanical voice was filled with coldness. Creator, if the Lioli region wasn't threatened by the Qi region, would you dare to be so arrogant here? The domain master turned around, stared at the creator, and said with a murderous look, sooner or later, the Lioli region will be included in my territory, and all humans will become members of my biochemical army. The creator stared at the domain master and replied coldly, I have to say, creator, you are really arrogant. How dare you speak so arrogantly in front of the Dragon Palace in the Lioli region? Wang Xian squinted his eyes and said to him, because my men are not afraid of death. The creator replied plainly. The robots were not afraid of death and would obey his orders 100%. Now that the Lioli region was threatened by the Qi region, they couldn't join forces with the Dragon Palace to attack the Mechanic Emperor domain at this time. Even if the Lioli region and the Dragon Palace could defeat them together, this battle would take at least a few months, or even longer. The Lioli region wouldn't dare to be on their side for a long time. Secondly, as he said, his men were not afraid of death, but the Lioli region and the Dragon Palace were different. If the two forces attacked them, the creator was confident that they would suffer heavy losses. According to the calculation of his artificial intelligence, the possibility of the other party joining forces to attack them was only 3%. That damn metal lump is really arrogant. It can't be helped. The Mechanic Emperor domain is much more troublesome than the Qi region. This damned creator has absolute control. All his men obey his orders 100% and are not afraid of death. As long as he has the resources, he can create them quickly. The robots are deformed, and everything they do is to serve the Creator. When the retreating soldiers and disciples of the Lioli region heard the conversation between the leaders of the three-peak forces of the resplendent starry sky, their expressions turned ugly. To the colored glaze region, the mechanic emperor domain was like an iron lump that was difficult to chew. Exchanging one person's life for the lives of 100 robots was not worth it in their eyes. Androids could be created at any time, but humans only had one life. Oh, really? Let's see if you're afraid of death. Upon hearing him, Wang Xian raised his eyebrows slightly. As soon as he finished speaking, the 9-winged divine dragons roared. All the members of the Dragon Palace stared in the direction of the Mechanic Emperor region, staring at the countless mechanical legions. When the Creator, who was billions of kilometers away, heard Wang Xian's words, he frowned slightly. Information flashed across his eyes as he calculated the meaning of his words. All disciples of Dragon Palace, get ready. Prime Minister Turtle stood beside AO2 in the middle of the rear and roared. In the next moment, all the devouring dragons, berserk dragons, and imperial dragons let out a roar. A strong fighting spirit charged forward. What is Dragon Palace trying to do? What's going on? Are the Emperor gods of the Colored Glaze region going to attack the army of the Mechanic Emperor domain with Dragon Palace? It's highly possible. You should know that Dragon Palace has sent many experts this time. Maybe our domain master has discussed with the Dragon King to take them down a notch. That's really possible. After all, we lost 5 Emperor gods because of this group of people from the Mechanic Emperor domain. At the back, everyone could feel the terrifying might of Dragon Palace. They were slightly shocked and couldn't help but comment. However, their speculation made some senior generals frown slightly. They hadn't received any notice about this. If they wanted to take down the notch of the Mechanic Emperor domain, they should have taken action as well. Attack. Kill. Before anyone could think further, Wang Xian stood on the dragon throne and gave the order to attack. In the next moment, with the Emperor gods of the Dragon Palace leading the charge, 5 million god kings of the Dragon Palace charged towards the mechanical army of the Mechanic Emperor domain. The 9 divine dragons let out a roar and flew to the flanks of the Dragon Palace's army. Wang Xian squinted his eyes and followed closely behind the Dragon Palace's army. What? Dragon Palace is charging over directly. Our domain master didn't follow them. All the soldiers of the Colored Glaze region were shocked when they saw Dragon Palace attacking the Mechanic Emperor domain and their Emperor gods not taking action. Could it be that Dragon Palace wants to fight against the Mechanic Emperor domain alone? All the soldiers were shocked. Dragon Palace, how dare you challenge the Mechanic Emperor domain? All right, all the mechanical army, attack. The Master Creator calculated all the possibilities in his mind, but still couldn't figure out why Dragon Palace would attack them. However, at this moment, he stopped calculating and gave the order to attack angrily. Ka. In the next moment, the sound of machinery turning was heard and countless cannon holes were opened. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. The whole process took less than a second. In the next moment, millions of huge battleships released terrifying attacks. Countless flame bombs, wind bombs, and lightning pillars lit up the entire starry sky and bombarded all the members of Dragon Palace. Oomph! The Master Creator snorted and slammed a button in front of him. The battleships tens of millions of kilometers below him let out a roar. A black hole-like attack shrouded the Dragon Palace. All members of Dragon Palace attack. Imperial dragon species, defend the front. Prime Minister Turtle ordered loudly. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Boom, boom, boom. In the next moment, the arrows of the arrow dragon species, the crimson energy of the berserk dragon species, and the black-yellow flames of the devouring dragon met with countless cannons. The sky formation was in the center. He stared at the horrifying black hole in front of him and quickly set up an array to meet the black hole. Rumble. Immediately after, when the countless mechanical army of the Mechanic Emperor domain collided with the attacks of the Dragon Palace experts, the entire void seemed to tremble. A wave of apocalyptic energy rose from the center of the collision. The void cracked like a mirror. This collision was earth-shattering. Hiss! The first round of attacks collided. The world seems to be trembling. The war between them has begun. What's going on? Is this a probing attack, or what? All the soldiers of the Lieli region were shocked. The war had broken out just like that? However, the main character wasn't the Lioli region. What they wanted to know now was whether this was a probing attack. Tomorrow at 8, tonight at midnight, for more updates. Thank all the brothers for their support. Asking for monthly votes. Chapter 29-23. In the first round of collisions, all the cannonballs were blocked by the experts from Dragon Palace. The countless cannonballs did not harm a single member under the bombardment and defense of the experts from Dragon Palace. On both sides, the 9 Wind Divine Dragons let out a violent roar. They moved and charged towards the warships in front of them with terrifying speed. Boom, boom, boom. The warships in front of them saw the terrifying speed of the 9 Wind Divine Dragons and immediately fired their cannons. Under the illumination of the cannonballs, their huge wings and green dragon scales shone brightly. However, as the Wind Divine Dragons, 3 of them possessed the terrifying strength of a second-order Void God Emperor. They swayed their bodies and easily dodged the attacks. Even if they were hit, the dragon scales on their bodies could easily defend against the attacks. Those are the Divine Dragons, the legendary Wind Divine Dragons. On the largest warship, the Master Creator's eyes flickered as he stared at the 9 Wind Divine Dragons. He looked at the analysis of the artificial intelligence in his mind with an ugly expression. Sir Creator, there aren't many warships that can threaten the 9 Divine Dragons, especially 3 of them. We need to use your Mechanic Emperor warship to deal with them. If we want to kill them, we need Sir Creator to act. The voice of his subordinate was transmitted into his mind. He snorted coldly and swept his cold gaze across the 3 Wind Divine Dragons. However, he did not act because he could sense that the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace had locked onto him. Currently, he was not ready for battle. At the very least, he did not send all the legions from the Mechanic Emperor domain over. This time, he merely sent 3/5 of his forces. Mechanic Emperor warship, Black Demon Flame, track and kill. The Master Creator stood there and coldly commanded, "Ka ka ka." Following his command, many huge cannon holes appeared hundreds of kilometers behind him. The cannon holes emitted a black luster and locked onto the 3 second-order Void God Emperor Wind Divine Dragons. Wong wong wong. A unique sound was heard as 3 streaks of black light shot towards the 3 Divine Wind Dragons. The 3 Wind Divine Dragons immediately felt a threat. They stared at the Black Demon Flame and flapped their wings slightly. Boom, boom, boom. In the next moment, gusts of hurricanes formed around them and condensed into numerous Divine Wind Dragons that charged at the Black Demon Flame. Bam, bam, bam. Bam, bam, bam. A terrifying collision sound could be heard, and the expressions of the creators on the Mechanic Emperor's ship turned solemn. As expected of the legendary Divine Dragon, he said coldly, "Kill." At this time, the roars of the Dragon Palace could be heard. The 1.5 million strong army of the Dragon Palace, led by a group of Emperor gods, had already arrived in front of the Mechanic Emperor District's battleship army. Scatter and destroy these battleships. Devour all the battleships. Turtle Chancellor and Ao Xie gave their orders. All the devouring dragons stared at the huge warships with fervent eyes, their eyes filled with excitement. They were like hungry wolves, pouncing forward directly. Retreat. The Creator sensed and analyzed the power of the Dragon Palace and gave an order. This order was given in the next moment. Release flash. A message was transmitted to all the battleships of the Mechanic Emperor District. Swoosh. The next moment, rays of dazzling brilliance suddenly rose in front of all the battleships. This brilliance caused the entire space to be white, and there was no other color. Rumble, rumble, rumble. As the white light shone, all the battleships retreated towards the depths of the Mechanic Emperor District at an extremely fast speed. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The white light affected the vision of the members of the Dragon Palace. However, the Wind Divine Dragon and the others swayed their huge bodies, and countless wind blades swept across thousands of battleships. The thousands of battleships emitted sparks and shook in the void. Dragon Palace, just you wait. The creator's eyes swept across the destroyed battleships, and his eyes were filled with murderous intent. They are retreating. The army of the Mechanic Emperor District is retreating. Ha ha ha, impressive. I have to say that the Dragon Palace is very strong. They forced the army of the Mechanic Emperor District to retreat. I guess the creator also knows that they are no match for us in the Dragon Palace. They are afraid. At the back, the soldiers of the Lioli region saw the battleships of the Mechanic Emperor District retreating, and they smiled and discussed excitedly. No, look, the army of the Dragon Palace is still chasing. What's going on? The Dragon Palace is still chasing the army of the Mechanic Emperor District? What is the Dragon Palace trying to do? However, everyone was shocked to find that the Dragon Palace did not stop even though the army of the Mechanic Emperor District was retreating. Instead, they were still chasing. What is the Dragon Palace trying to do? What is the Dragon Palace trying to do? When the creator saw the million-strong army of the Dragon Palace chasing closely behind, his pupils shrank slightly and a cold look appeared in his eyes. He stared at everyone from the Dragon Palace. Attack. His eyes flashed with all kinds of information, and his orders were directly transmitted to each of his subordinates. Boom, boom, boom. Countless cannons covered everyone from the Dragon Palace. However, their attacks only slowed down the speed of the Dragon Palace by a little, but they did not stop. In particular, the 9-wind divine dragons relied on their terrifying speed to attack with their huge wings and claws. One warship after another flipped over in the void and was destroyed. Every time a battleship was destroyed, the hideous creatures with 18 claws would pounce over and eat the huge battleship. This made the creator's eyes filled with anger. With the calculation of his brain, he made consecutive miscalculations. Until now, he still couldn't figure out why the Dragon Palace dared to chase after them. Were they courting death? Or did they think that the Mechanic Emperor District was easy to bully? SSS, the Dragon Palace has already chased into the territory of the Mechanic Emperor District. They haven't stopped yet. I can't even see now. What's going on? The Dragon Palace is going to attack the Mechanic Emperor District? Attack the Mechanic Emperor District? This is impossible, right? With the strength of the Dragon Palace, can they do that? You should know that the Mechanic Emperor District did not send all their forces this time. All the soldiers from the Lioli region looked at the void in front of them. The Dragon Palace had completely disappeared from their sight. Let all the soldiers retreat. In the void in front of the war continent, the region master said to the surrounding emperor gods, "It's the region master." All the emperor gods looked at the void in front of them with glistening eyes. Even though they knew that the Dragon Palace was going to attack the Mechanic Emperor District, they were still shocked to see it with their own eyes. Boss Wong is really fierce. It's a pity that this battle is too brutal. I dare not go over. Invincible Battle Law stood at the side and couldn't help but sigh. Chapter 29-24. Conquest of the Mechanic Emperor Domain 4-inch. The army of the Dragon Palace has come to reinforce our Lioli region. The Dragon King will lead a group of experts to attack the robot army and chase them into the Mechanic Emperor Domain. When all the soldiers at the border between the Colored Glaze region and the Mechanic Emperor region retreated, the news of what had happened here had already spread on the artificial brain of the Colored Glaze region. When the people of the Lioli region learned that the Dragon Palace had come to support them, they were filled with gratitude. They were also shocked by the Dragon Palace's direct invasion of the Mechanic Imperial Domain. Soon, they saw that annoying guy, Invincible Battle Mage, sent a message. The Dragon King has personally led the Dragon Palace's experts to attack the Mechanic Emperor Domain. It won't be long before the Mechanic Emperor Domain is swept away. This time, the message wasn't long, and it wasn't filled with sarcasm. When the citizens saw the information about the invincible battle technique, they were in disbelief. The Dragon Palace wants to attack the Mechanic Emperor Domain? Aren't they helping us guard the border? Why is the Dragon Palace attacking the Mechanic Emperor Domain? Is this for real? Was what invincible battle technique said true? The Dragon Palace wants to invade the Mechanic Emperor Domain? Hiss, it can't be. Even our Lioli region found it hard to destroy the Mechanic Emperor region. Does the Dragon Palace have the strength to do so? If we attack them, how many losses will the Dragon Palace suffer? Guarding the borders and going to the Mechanic Emperor domain were two different things. The guards only needed to act as a deterrent. However, the expedition to the Mechanic Emperor domain was a Starfield war, a vast war. In such a war, the casualties would be calculated in the hundreds of billions. In particular, not only was the Mechanic Emperor's domain not weak, but it was also very strong. Did he have the strength to attack the Dragon Palace? Do you think that the Dragon Palace will be as weak as the Lioli region? Just wait for the news. It won't be long before all the robots are destroyed. But soon, Invincible Fighter started another debate. He began to ridicule the entire Lioli region. But this time, the good thing was that it was related to the Dragon Palace. After all, the Dragon Palace had come to help the Lioli region. Other than saying that the Dragon Palace was invincible, they didn't say anything bad about the Dragon Palace. Soon, everyone in the Lioli territory was guessing the strength of the Dragon Palace. Could the Dragon Palace really sweep through the Mechanic Emperor domain? The Dragon Palace could defeat the robots? As they did not know the specifics of the situation, they could only make various guesses. Some said that the Dragon Palace could defeat the Mechanic Imperial region, and some said that the Dragon Palace might really be stronger than the Lioli region, but some didn't believe it. The entire Lioli region's AI was bustling with activity. Boom, boom, boom. At this moment, the main character of their discussion was chasing after the robot army. The army of battleships, mechas, and fighter jets that spanned more than 1 billion kilometers quickly flew toward the depths of the Mechanic Emperor's domain. Endless artillery fire was fired continuously at the rear. The army of Dragon Palace was in hot pursuit. I really didn't expect that the Dragon Palace would actually want to attack our Mechanic Emperor region and our mechs. How dare they? Dragon Palace, you actually dared to provoke us. In that case, we'll let you experience the cannon fire and punishment of our Mechanic Emperor region. On the Mechanic Emperor ship, the murderous intent in the eyes of the Master Creator intensified as he watched the Dragon Palace chase after them for half an hour. In this half an hour, he had thoroughly analyzed all the forces of the Dragon Palace. In his opinion, this force was very strong, not much weaker than their Mechanic Emperor's domain. However, it would be a big mistake to attack them with just this force alone. He wanted the Dragon Palace to pay a heavy price. That strange creature can actually increase its strength by devouring my people. What a unique existence. The legendary Divine Dragon. In the past, I still wanted to hunt a Divine Dragon for research. I didn't expect you to come here on your own. A peak bloodline race in the universe will definitely be able to improve my technology. It might even be able to free me from the shackles of machinery. Since the Dragon Palace wants to attack us, let's fight. Even if the Mechanic Emperor region suffers a huge loss this time, as long as we can obtain the body of a Divine Dragon, it will be worth it. Ha ha ha, Mechanic Emperor region. All the mechs, my people, kill them all, kill them all. Slowly, the eyes of the Master Creator revealed a ferocious and excited look. He couldn't help but roar. When he knew that the Dragon Palace had Divine Dragons, he had coveted the bloodline of the peak race in the universe, the Divine Dragon. However, the Dragon Palace was already very strong at that time. Now that the other party dared to invade them, that was great. Kill. Even if they had to pay a huge price, as long as they could kill 1 or 2 Divine Dragons, it would not be a loss. He stood on the Mechanic Emperor's ship, and data flashed in his eyes. At the same time, signals were also transmitted to the Mechanic Emperor region. Beep, beep, beep. Order of the Master Creator. Convert to war mode. All mechs, enter the mechanical planet and head to the designated location. Order of the Master Creator. Convert to war mode. All mechs, enter the mechanical planet and head to the designated location. At this moment, all the mechs in the entire Mechanic Emperor region and on the mechanical planet located in various parts of the star field stopped moving. An order was transmitted into their minds, and their eyes slowly turned red. Yes, order of the Master Creator. Yes, order of the Master Creator. The next moment, all the mechs responded in unison. Boom, boom, boom. Following that, the planet they were on let out a loud roar. All the mechs immediately flew to the center of the mechanical planet. There, a huge platform rose, and on it, all kinds of mechanical weapons were placed. All the mechs turned into warriors and rode on the mechanical planet, flying toward the direction of the Master Creator. Tens of thousands of mechanical planets, hundreds of billions of mechs, all rushed toward the Master Creator. At the same time, in the center of the Mechanic Emperor region, the mechanical planet that had a diameter of hundreds of millions of kilometers was surrounded by 18 smaller mechanical planets. They also started moving. On this mechanical planet, there were 2 million-meter-long mechs. One was a mechanical creature that looked like a falcon. They stared coldly at the void in front of them, and all kinds of data flashed in their eyes. The entire Mechanic Emperor region started moving. All the mechs' power was activated, and they flew toward the Master Creator. It was majestic, and it was shocking. Hee. When the Master Creator saw the entire Mechanic Emperor region moving, his face revealed a cold expression. He stared at all the people from the Dragon Palace, who were chasing after him, and sneered. After chasing for such a long time, the rest of the mech armies in the Mechanic Emperor region should have converged on the Master Creator. At this moment, behind the members of the Dragon Palace, Wang Xian floated in the air, locking onto the Master Creator. Currently, the Emperor God hidden in the 1.5 million strong army of the Dragon Palace still had not made a move. He was waiting. Chapter 29-25. Conquering the Mechanic Emperor Domain 5. Wang Xian was waiting for the arrival of all the legions of the Mechanic Emperor Domain. With his current strength, he could definitely catch up to the robot army in front of him and catch up to the creators. But he didn't do so. According to the information he got from the Lioli domain, although the creator couldn't escape to his holy kingdom directly, he had a very heaven-defying ability. He was able to transfer his memories to any of the automatons. In other words, he could abandon his own body and transfer to other androids and machines. After the transfer, he could still mobilize the entire robot army. If the Dragon Palace were to display all its strength and annihilate all the robot army in front, the creator would definitely escape and Wang Xian wouldn't be able to stop him. After the creator escaped, he would definitely order the rest of the robots to protect him and escape from the pursuit of the Dragon Palace. In this case, it would be good if the Dragon Palace could annihilate half of the robots in the Mechanic Emperor domain. Therefore, Wang Xian was waiting for all the robots in the Mechanic Emperor domain to rush over, or the moment the creator and the rest escaped to the center of the Mechanic Emperor domain to counterattack. At the front, the Wind Divine Dragons roared. From time to time, battleships were destroyed by them. At the back, the Devouring Dragons flew over and devoured the battleships. These battleships were made of a special kind of biometal, the same material used to build robots. Battleships could also be considered another type of robot. To the Devouring Dragons, this was an energy boost. In this half an hour of pursuit, the Wind Divine Dragons had destroyed more than 2,000 battleships, which increased the combat power of the thousands of Devouring Dragons to another level. The chase was still going on. Wang Xian wasn't in a hurry. The creator wasn't in a hurry either. At this moment, he closed his eyes, searched the star map of the Mechanic Emperor domain in his mind, and was giving out orders. He wanted to surround everyone in the Dragon Palace and make them suffer heavy losses. Even if he couldn't destroy the Dragon Palace, he wanted to inflict heavy damage. Time passed slowly. It had been a day since the Dragon Palace chased after the robot army. To the members of the Dragon Palace, a day's time wasn't the slightest bit tired. As a divine dragon, their physique was enough to support them in battles for a few years. Moreover, the members of the Dragon Palace didn't use their strongest moves. At this moment, the Master of Creation, who was sitting in the Mechanic Emperor's ship with his eyes closed, opened his eyes and revealed a cold smile. His eyes scanned the seats on both sides, and his eyes sparkled. Let's make Dragon Palace pay the price right here. In order to prevent you from escaping back to the Divine Kingdom in an instant, I have prepared a great gift for you. As the Master of Creation spoke, he stood up slowly and flew towards the front of the Mechanic Emperor's ship. Boom, boom, boom. At this moment, planets flew over at a terrifying speed from the left and right sides. The planets on the left were all emitting blazing flames, and the one in the center was a blazing sun. On the right, there were many planets that exuded extremely cold temperatures. Goldfisher scarlet sun and extreme ice white dwarf. These terrifying natural stars in the universe emit a temperature that can threaten God-King experts. The creator stared at the two gigantic planets and smiled. Behind these flaming and icy planets were the mechanical armies of the Mechanic Emperor's domain. On those mechanical planets stood countless androids. They held various weapons in their hands and stared coldly at the front. At the same time, when the Goldfisher scarlet sun and extreme ice white dwarf appeared on both sides, Wang Xian had already sensed it. He squinted his eyes and scanned both sides. All members of the Dragon Palace, stop! Wang Xian ordered with flickering eyes. Yes, Dragon King. One by one, the members of Dragon Palace immediately stopped their attacks and stopped moving. Similarly, they swept their eyes across both sides. Dragon King, the mechanical armies of the Mechanic Emperor's domain should be here. Tianjin flew to Wang Xian's side with a compass in his hand and said with a smile. On his compass, they were surrounded by densely packed red dots. The number of red dots was uncountable. Almost. Since they have set up an ambush here, they should have mobilized at least 90% of their strength. Those Goldfisher scarlet sun and extreme ice white dwarf should be there to prevent the members of the Dragon Palace from escaping back to their divine kingdom, Wang Xian said plainly with a smile on his face. When an expert wanted to return to his divine kingdom instantly, he couldn't be attacked at this moment. Once he was attacked, he would be interrupted. The extreme heat and cold emitted by the Goldfisher scarlet sun and extreme ice white dwarf would affect the entire void, causing the aura of the void to be unstable. Under such circumstances, it would take longer to prepare to escape back to his divine kingdom. However, this also meant that the Mechanic Emperor's domain was prepared to fight to the death with the Dragon Palace. This was exactly what they wanted. Dragon Palace, since you want to hunt down my mechanical armies, let's settle this here. All mechanical armies attack. The Master of Creation saw the Dragon Palace army suddenly stop and thought that they were afraid. With a stern look, he immediately ordered loudly. Boom, boom, boom. As soon as he gave the order, the dozens of Golden Rift scarlet suns and Arctic white dwarfs suddenly sped up and charged towards them. Blast! At the same time, the mechanical armies began their counterattack. From where the members of the Dragon Palace were standing, they could see countless rays, cannons, and missiles flying towards them. On both sides, the Goldfisher scarlet sun and extreme ice white dwarf gradually split apart when they were hundreds of millions of kilometers away from the members of the Dragon Palace. Boom, boom, boom. Endless flaming meteorites and icy meteorites rushed towards the members of the Dragon Palace. The extreme heat and cold caused cracks to appear in the space they were in. The entire space was unstable. The flaming meteorites and icy meteorites didn't cause any harm to the members of the Dragon Palace. Their main purpose was to disrupt the starry sky and prevent the members of the Dragon Palace from escaping. Let's begin. All Emperor gods, lock onto your targets. Don't let them escape. The devouring dragon prioritizes battle. After this battle is won, devour the spoils of war. Wang Xian's eyes shone with a strong fighting spirit. He swept his gaze across the surrounding meteorites, smiled faintly, and ordered. Yes, Dragon King. At this moment, the eyes of the 51 Emperor gods of the Dragon Palace shone with a violent fighting spirit as they answered loudly. Chapter 29-26 Conquering the Mechanic Emperor Domain 6-inch Master Creator, let this Dragon King challenge you today. Let me see your strength. In the depths of the Mechanic Emperor Domain, there were countless mechanical planets, battleships, mechas, and androids. Wang Xian stared at the largest battleship in the distance, the Master Creator on the Mechanic Emperor ship. His eyes were filled with fighting spirit. According to the information from the Colored Glaze region, the strength of the Master Creator had reached the Third Order God Emperor realm. As for the Colored Glaze region Master, he believed that the strength of the Master Creator was weaker than him. Hence, Wang Xian was confident that he could kill the Master Creator. He stared at the Master Creator and smiled. The unbeginning saint wings appeared on his back as he charged forward at a terrifying speed. Humph! Dragon King of the Dragon Palace. The eyes of the Master Creator on the Mechanic Emperor ship were filled with chilliness. He moved, clenched his fist, and punched towards the void. Ka ka ka. The gems on his arm shone with a dazzling luster. A fist condensed from lightning bolts blasted towards Wang Xian. Whoosh! Wang Xian flapped his wings slightly and dodged the attack of the Master Creator with ease. In the blink of an eye, he arrived before the Mechanic Emperor ship. What? Such terrifying speed. It's 5 times faster than me. The Master Creator saw Wang Xian dodging his attack with ease. His pupils calculated Wang Xian's speed, and his expression changed. He stared at Wang Xian, who was charging towards him, and waved his arm. Ka ka ka. On the Mechanic Emperor ship below, countless cannon holes rose up. Da 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 da. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. A group of powerful cannons bombarded towards Wang Xian. Under the bombardment of these cannons, even a mosquito would be crushed. Special metallic bullets and lasers of various attributes were filled with destructive power. Humph! Master Creator, do you think you can stop me with your technological weapons? Wang Xian revealed a mocking expression. 2 dragon horns gradually grew out of his head. The dragon horns gave off light and darkness, and a Tai Chi diagram appeared in front of Wang Xian. Pung pung pung. All the attacks landed on the Tai Chi diagram, but they were easily blocked. Clang. The Dragon King is so powerful. The creator's expression changed drastically, and he immediately retreated. A lightning sword that was more than 10 meters long appeared in his hand. Crackle. He swung his arm and bolts of lightning struck towards Wang Xian. Ka ka ka. Boom boom boom. At the same time, all the weapons on the Mechanic Emperor ship were aimed at Wang Xian. The entire Mechanical Emperor ship was powerful enough to kill a second-order God Emperor. However, such weapons were not of much use to Wang Xian. In front of him, all the attacks landed on the Tai Chi diagram, only causing some ripples. This creator's attack isn't very strong either. Wang Xian raised his eyebrows slightly when he saw the attack of the thunderous longsword landing before him. If that's all you've got, creator, then go to hell. Wang Xian shook his body and stretched out his right hand. Dragon Claw. With a low roar, his entire right arm transformed into a dragon claw. Dragon country in a palm. Wang Xian let out another deep roar. His entire palm instantly expanded to the size of a few million kilometers. Bam! The entire dragon claw directly attacked the Mechanic Emperor warship below. Ka ka ka. Destructive energy landed on the Mechanic Emperor warship. The terrifying dragon claw penetrated the Mechanic Emperor warship. The strength of this Dragon King. The creator stared at Wang Xian with a terrible expression. His mind was constantly calculating his chances of winning. Whoosh! At this moment, he saw the Dragon King charging towards him at a terrifying speed. The sky-covering dragon claw was heading towards him. Scram! The creator growled, and a hole appeared on his chest. A round ball was launched towards Wang Xian's dragon claw. Boom! A terrifying force exploded in his dragon claw, causing the million-kilometer-long dragon claw to crumble. This is the attack of a third-order God Emperor realm expert. Wang Xian flung the blood off his palm and revealed a smile. Wang. In the next moment, his figure disappeared and reappeared 1,000 meters in front of the creator. Such terrifying speed. The creator's expression changed drastically as he roared. Bam! In the next moment, Wang Xian's palm landed on the body of the creator. The terrifying power of the 5 elements caused his body to crumble. Oh no! My body is crumbling. This Dragon King is too strong. Transmit all the information. Transfer the brain to the creation star of the creator. The creator felt the terrifying energy that his body was withstanding. His eyes glowed red as he calculated continuously. Soon, the red light in his eyes disappeared and his body lost all signs of life and vitality. Huh! Wang Xian was taken aback. He moved his palm and grabbed the body of the creator in his hand. This isn't his real body. His expression changed slightly as he looked around. Ka ka ka. Dragon King, you're courting death. At this moment, a deafening roar came from the front. At the same time, the sound of machinery operating could be heard. Huh. Wang Xian lifted his head and looked ahead. His eyes narrowed slightly. In front of him, there was a mechanical planet. A mechanical planet with a diameter of at least a few 100 million kilometers. Around this mechanical planet, there were 18 smaller planets floating in the air. However, at this moment, the planet began to change. Just like the Transformers in the sci-fi movies, the entire mechanical planet turned into a humongous metal giant. What kind of existence was a giant with a diameter of a few 100 million kilometers? Around it, 18 planets the size of ordinary stars were revolving around this giant. Wang. At this moment, the two huge eyes of the giant shot out two lightning pillars. The lightning pillars spanned tens of millions of kilometers and came before Wang Xian in an instant. Huh, what a terrifying attack. This creator isn't as simple as the Lioli region thinks. Wang Xian narrowed his eyes. With a swift move, he dodged to the side. Ka ka ka. At this moment, Wang Xian saw pitch-black holes appearing on the 18 mechanical planets surrounding the mechanical giant. Rumble, rumble, rumble. From those holes, tracking bombs with a diameter of 100 kilometers were fired. The tracking bombs were headed straight for Wang Xian. This creator seems to be restraining my speed. Wang Xian squinted his eyes. Wang Xian's strongest point now was his speed. With his terrifying speed, he could hit his opponent before they could react and kill them instantly. Absolute speed was the most fearsome thing about absolute defense. Clearly, this humongous body of the creator was a little difficult to deal with. If that's the case, I don't have anything to hide. Dragon transformation. Wang Xian let out a low roar. Roar, roar. A roar was heard. Today, 4 chapters will be released first. For more to go. Begging for monthly votes. Begging for monthly votes. Chapter 29-27. Conquering Mechanic Emperor Domain 7 Roar Roar. A roar came from Wang Xian's mouth as a 7-colored divine dragon appeared in front of the giant creator. On the back of the 7-colored divine dragon was a pair of gigantic sacred wings. One of the wings gave off a green glow that didn't belong to the 7-colored divine dragon and was covered with dense dragon scales. The other one was made up of bones and had no wings, which made it look rather strange. However, the aura of the 30,000-meter-long divine dragon contained boundless might. What's this? Divine dragon? Why are there 8 attributes? What's going on? The giant creator stared at the tiny Wang Xian in front of him. His eyes flickered as he analyzed all sorts of data. Also, why did the Dragon Palace suddenly have so many Emperor God experts? The Dragon Palace purposely ordered me to send all the mechanical army over. They want to wipe us out in one fell swoop. Damn the Dragon Palace. Damn the Dragon King. The creator's eyes flickered as he scanned the surroundings with rage burning in his heart. If he wasn't in his mechanical form, he would definitely look terrible. At this time, Wang Xian, who had transformed into a divine dragon, moved. He flapped his dragon wings and instantly appeared in front of the creator's chest. Ka ka ka. The moment Wang Xian arrived, a hole appeared in the creator's chest and the magma-like law of fire rushed towards him. Wang Xian swayed his body and easily dodged the attack of the magma. Bam bam bam. The dragon tail swept across the waist of the creator. In an instant, sparks flew everywhere. A special liquid flowed out from it. Get lost, Dragon King. I'm going to kill you. The creator roared furiously as he smashed his gigantic fist towards Wang Xian. At this moment, Wang Xian's 30,000-meter-tall body was huge. However, he was still tiny in front of the creator. This was like a human facing a monster the size of Earth. Creator, you're the one who's going to die today. Wang Xian's eyes were filled with disdain. He opened his dragon mouth and spat out a long river of destructive energy. Ka ka ka. The creator moved his arm and a huge shield appeared on it, blocking the long river of destructive energy. Roar. Break. Wang Xian's figure flickered, and in an instant, he appeared at the thigh of the creator. His dragon claws grabbed at it. Bam, bam, bam. A huge mark that was tens of millions of kilometers long appeared on the creator's right leg. Metal parts could be seen inside. Damn, Dragon King. Explode. A wave of boundless power rushed towards his body. The khaki-colored energy collided with Wang Xian. What kind of attack is this? Wang Xian was slightly taken aback. His body was repelled by the massive energy, and he kept flying backward. Roar. However, in the next instant, Wang Xian arrived above the masters of creation at a terrifying speed. The unbeginning sacred wings flapped, and a huge wind blade slashed at his head. Boom, boom, boom. Dazzling giant metal swords shot out from his head. The giant metal swords cut through the void and met the wind blades head-on. Bam! The two terrifying attacks collided, causing the void to explode. Ka. But at this moment, Wang Xian flew to the back of the Master of Creation with a suppressive speed. His dragon claws slashed out a crack that was hundreds of millions of kilometers wide. Waves of light and dark energy entered the body of the Master of Creation. Beep, beep, beep. His body is severely damaged. The area of damage has reached 35%. The enemy in front of me is undefeatable. Undefeatable. The reminder rang in the mind of the Master of Creation, making him even more furious. Wang, break. Hong long, long, long. All of a sudden, a voice came from the side, accompanied by a mighty force. Beep, beep, beep. 300 mechanical planets are damaged. 300 mechanical planets are damaged. 52. 1 billion robots have perished. Warning, warning. You have suffered an attack from a third-order God Emperor. At this moment, the reminder rang in the mind of the Master of Creation again. What? The massive body of the Master of Creation trembled, and he immediately looked to the side. He saw an old man floating in the middle of a few hundred mechanical planets in the Mechanic Emperor domain. Around him, 300 mechanical planets had lost their energy and were falling downwards. All the robots on the mechanical planets were killed. A third-order God Emperor Realm Expert. The Dragon Palace still has a third-order God Emperor Realm Expert. No wonder the Dragon Palace dares to charge in. The mechanical heart of the Master of Creation thumped violently, and rays of death rays shot out from his eyes. Ha ha ha. Kill, kill, kill. Jia, jia, jia. Kill this group of things that are neither human nor ghost. By the side, the 1.5 million experts of the Dragon Palace were shuttling through the mechanical army. The number of mechanical soldiers was tens of thousands of times that of the Dragon Palace. But in front of the experts of the Dragon Palace, they could not resist at all. The berserk dragons of the 200,000-strong army were fighting against the biohuman army of the Master of Creation. The biohumans could not feel pain or fear. They only knew how to fight. However, the Masters of Creation's most elite biohuman army couldn't resist the berserk dragons' attacks at all. In the entire biohuman army, there were only 4 existences that could rival a first-order God Emperor. But these 4 biohumans were surrounded by 8 God Emperors from the Dragon Palace. The number of God Emperors in the Dragon Palace was too high. It was almost double the number of their mechanical army. There were not many God Emperors in the mechanical army, and there were many battleships that could contend against God Emperors. However, against the Wind Divine Dragon's powerful agility and speed, these battleships were of little use. Battleships of strategic grade and battleships that could contend against God Emperors were rapidly destroyed. As for the battleships that could contend against second-order God Emperors, they were destroyed by the Heaven Formation. The Heaven Formation was not an ordinary third-order God Emperor Realm Expert. 1 million devouring dragons were tearing at the mechas and battleships excitedly. Their huge bodies were not any smaller than the mechas and battleships. Their 18 claws could destroy the mechas as long as they got close to them. As for the arrow dragons, they were the natural enemies of these battleships, robots, and mechas. Under the defense of the imperial dragon species, they unscrupulously shot and killed. In fact, one of Mao Zedong's arrows could even blow up a mechanical planet. A magical battlefield appeared in the void. Terrifying monsters were rapidly killing all kinds of battleships, and armors. This was a one-sided battle. According to the analysis, the enemy has the ability to suppress us. In at most an hour, all our robots will be destroyed. Warning, warning, evacuate quickly. Evacuate quickly. The master of creation looked at all of this, and the calculated data was transmitted to his mind. Chapter 29-28. Conquering the Mechanic Emperor Domain. 8-inch warning. Warning. Evacuate immediately. Evacuate immediately. The urgent warning rang in the creator's mind, causing him to be shocked and furious. The strength of the Dragon Palace was so terrifying. The strength of the Dragon King was so strong. With his current giant body, he wouldn't be afraid even if he were to face an territorial lord or a creator. This body of his had gathered the best treasures and metals in the entire Mechanic Emperor domain. In the core, there were a large number of secret treasures that provided him with energy. However, facing the terrifying speed of the Dragon King, he couldn't put up any resistance. To him, such terrifying speed wasn't something a third-order God Emperor could possess. Run. I can't win. No, I can't just run like this. I must kill a divine dragon. As long as I kill a divine dragon, I can earn back my losses. The creator was calculating in his mind. When he saw the Dragon King attacking him again, he let out a low roar. Boom, boom, boom. On his body, incomparably powerful weapons blasted towards Wang Xian. Bullets forged with God Emperor-grade metals, powerful laser weapons, and cannonballs that could easily destroy a dozen planets. Endless energy surged towards Wang Xian. Target the Wind Divine Dragons. All mechanical armies, kill a Wind Divine Dragon at all costs. At the same time, he gave an order in his heart. Ka. Kill a divine dragon. Kill, kill, kill. At this moment, all the biohumans, mechanical battleships, and warships on the battlefield suddenly changed their targets and attacked the 9 Wind Divine Dragons in a frenzy. The 9 Wind Divine Dragons that were wreaking havoc were shocked when all the robots on the battlefield suddenly changed their targets. Given their strength, they weren't strong enough to fight against all the mechanical armies here. Aofeng, be careful. These guys are targeting you. I think they want to kill you. When Prime Minister Turtle saw this scene, he immediately reminded loudly, all Dragon Palace God Emperors, pin down the guys in front of you. Don't let them break free and attack the Wind Divine Dragons. He roared again. Why are they attacking us so crazily? We can't even kill as many as the devouring dragons. A female Wind Divine Dragon shouted softly, expressing her dissatisfaction. Boom, boom, boom. However, in the next moment, countless attacks swarmed towards him. Ao. The Wind Divine Dragon let out a startled roar and dodged to the side. Sky Formation was slightly taken aback when he saw the robot army targeting the 9 Wind Divine Dragons. With a wave of his arm, defensive arrays capable of withstanding a second-order Immortal God King Realm expert flew towards the 9 Wind God Dragons. Roar. Thank you, Sir Celestial Array, for your support. Kill. The 9 Divine Wind Dragons let out a low roar as they sensed the defensive array formation in front of them. Their huge bodies withstood the barrage of countless weapons and charged towards the Warframe mecha one after another. Boom, boom, boom. Their huge claws grabbed onto the fighter jets, causing them to collapse. Damn it. Damn it. The Master of Creation sensed the information that was being transmitted to him and started to panic. He discovered that the Array Master from the Dragon Palace was extremely powerful. He could not be compared to an ordinary third-order God Emperor Realm expert. According to Huang Xiaolong's calculations, a Dragon King and a powerful Formation Master could fight against 5 to 6 third-order Immortal God King Realm experts at the same time. How could the Mechanic Emperor domain fight against them? Calculated winning rate is 0. Winning rate is 0. Suggestion to escape. Escape immediately. The notifications kept ringing in the mind of the Master of Creation. As he watched the Dragon King slash through his body easily, he was filled with rage. At this moment, he knew that he was definitely not a match for the Dragon King. At this point, he could only escape. I'm not resigned to this. Our Mechanic Emperor domain has no feud with the Dragon Palace. Why are you attacking us? The Master of Creation roared at Wang Xian furiously. Hee hee, Master of Creation, don't you find it hilarious to say such words? Wang Xian sneered at the Master of Creation. Roar, roar. Wang Xian let out a low roar and moved towards the head of the Master of Creation in an instant. Zzz. A pale white aurora shot towards Wang Xian from the humongous head of the Master of Creation. However, Wang Xian easily dodged this attack. The unbeginning saint wings on his back drew a long scar on his head. The scar went deep into the center of his head. At this moment, the Master of Creation was in a terrible state. Go to hell, Dragon King. All of a sudden, the Creator let out an extremely violent roar. His two arms flew out from his body and blasted towards Wang Xian. Each arm was the size of a planet. They were forged with powerful metals and were the culmination of the highest technology in the mechanic emperor domain. Boom, 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 boom. The two arms chased after Wang Xian. Flames were emitting from the palms and were exceptionally terrifying. Wang Xian was also vigilant against the desperate attacks of the Master of Creation. Escape. At this moment, a hole appeared on the chest of the Master of Creation. In the hole, there was a mechanical brain. The entire brain was enveloped by the dazzling radiant principle and blue radiant liquid as it flew out from the body of the Master of Creation. The speed at which it flew out was exceptionally terrifying. Wang Xian, who was dodging the attacks of the two humongous arms, sensed something escaping. His eyes narrowed as he stared at the heart. What's that? The core of the Master of Creation? He's trying to escape. Wang Xian narrowed his eyes and swayed his body. Unleashing the unbeginning sacred wings to its limits, the dragon claws attacked the two arms in a frenzy. Ka. Sounds of destruction could be heard coming from the arms. Heaven array. Let's destroy the Master of Creation together. Wang Xian roared immediately. Yes, Dragon King. At this moment, the threat here had been eliminated by the Heaven array. All the warships and weapons that could unleash the power of a second-order God Emperor had been destroyed by him. Hearing the order of the Dragon King, the Heaven Array did not hesitate and quickly set up an array. Split. Dragon King, be careful. Soon, an array was formed. Rays of intersecting light appeared in front of the Master of Creation and attacked the giant body of the Master of Creation. Boom, boom, boom. The Master of Creation stared at the intersecting light rays and immediately raised a humongous defense to defend against the intersecting light rays. Pung, pung, pung. The array split landed on the defense of the Master of Creation, causing the metal defense to crack apart gradually. However, the energy of the array split was also depleted. Kill. At this moment, Wang Xian charged over and clawed at the head of the Master of Creation. Chapter 29. Treasures of the Mechanic Emperor Domain. 1 Bam Bam Bam. The sound of metal cracking was heard. The gigantic head of the Master of Creation was torn apart from the center by Wang Xian. Swoosh. At this moment, Wang Xian's unparalleled saint wings flapped violently as he dived down through the hole in the head. Ka. Roar. Dragon King. You bunch of damned bastards. I won't let you off. I won't let you off. At this moment, the roar of the Master of Creation was heard from the mechanical heart 10 billion kilometers away. This heart contained his core energy, as well as all of his technological data. As long as he had this heart, he would be able to rise rapidly. Moreover, to prevent such accidents from happening, he had made preparations in advance. Soon, he would be able to recover to his peak. At that time, he would make the Dragon Palace pay the price. Invading the Mechanic Emperor domain and annihilating the robots. They would have to bear the consequences. The mechanical heart of the Master of Creation was flying rapidly. Similarly, he could still control the entire mechanical army. But looking at the rapid collapse of the mechanical army, his heart was beating violently. Beep, beep, beep. The giant's mechanical body has completely collapsed. The robot army only has 33% of its strength left. It is recommended to evacuate quickly. There is a 0.5% chance that 1% of the robot army can escape. Information was transmitted into the consciousness of the Master of Creation, causing his heart to beat violently. Evacuate. He immediately gave an order. The robot army wants to evacuate. Don't let them escape. On the battlefield, the robot army received the orders of the Master of Creation and began to evacuate. Prime Minister Turtle immediately gave the order to chase and kill. The Wind Divine dragons locked onto the androids that were running away quickly, easily catching up to them and killing them quickly. Sky formation. At this moment, Wang Xian stood on the giant body of the Master of Creation and shouted at Sky Formation, "Dragon King, has the Master of Creation been dealt with?" Sky Formation asked immediately, "No, something that looks like a core escaped. Lock onto him." Wang Xian shook his head and immediately ordered Sky Formation, "Yes, Dragon King, leave it to me. Even if he is a special life form, I can lock onto him with the information from this body." Sky Formation revealed a confident look. At this moment, the Creator had just escaped, so it was extremely easy to find him. The Heavenly Formation immediately set up an array formation on the Master of Creation's giant body, searching for the Master of Creation's location. Buzz. The Dragon King has found it. He's here, more than 130 billion kilometers away from us. Tianjun immediately said, "Come, let's chase after them." Prime Minister Turtle, I'll leave this to you. Wang Xian moved and turned into a human figure. With a flap of the unbeginning sacred wings, a gust of wind enveloped the Sky Formation and chased after the Creator rapidly. Whoosh! The figures of the two quickly disappeared. Dragon King, that Master of Creation is 3 times slower than us. We can catch up to him in 3 minutes. Tianjun looked at the array formation in front of him and said to Wang Xian, "All right, that Creator's core is escaping toward the center of the Mechanic Emperor domain. He should still have some trump cards." Wang Xian's eyes flickered. Given the wisdom of the Creator, it's impossible that he didn't leave a way out for himself. I guess he still has his body and strength hidden. If he had directly transferred the information, the array formation wouldn't have been able to lock onto him. However, he didn't and escaped directly. Perhaps the core that he is residing in is very important. Tianjun analyzed. If that's the case, let's follow behind him and see what his trump cards are. Wang Xian squinted his eyes and flew at high speed. Oh no, that Dragon King seems to be chasing after me. I need to change direction. At the same time, the Creator received the information from the battlefield and caught sight of Wang Xian and Tianjun chasing after him. He was shocked and quickly changed his direction. At the same time, he immediately searched for all the information about Array Masters. Based on the records, Array Masters have powerful means of pursuit. They can track a person's location through their hair and even clothes. Array Masters' means of pursuit are exceptionally terrifying. I suggest entering a special environment to erase your aura and shake off the tracking of Array Masters. Information appeared in the mind of the Creator, and he cursed under his breath. Search the star map and search for the special environment of the Mechanic Emperor domain. Fly over immediately. The Creator immediately calculated and searched. Great, I'm in luck. There's a special area on the right, a thunderbolt area. My mechanical heart is extremely immune to thunderbolts. The Creator thought to himself as he quickly changed his direction. The Creator is changing his direction. Dragon King, he should know that we are chasing after him. He should also know about the means of Array Masters. Tianjun, who was at the back, raised his eyebrows and said when he saw the Creator suddenly changing his direction, "Don't worry, we'll be able to catch up to him soon. When the time comes, we'll follow behind." Wang Xian squinted his eyes and increased his speed. He entered a thunderbolt area. That area has some effect on my array formation, but it's not a big problem. Tianjun said quickly, "I see it." At this time, Wang Xian also saw an area filled with thunderbolts in front of him. The yin-yang 5 elements dragon eyes scanned ahead and soon saw a blurry figure. Found it. Wang Xian's face lit up and his lips curved. "Let's see where you can escape to," he murmured. Beep beep. According to the analysis, this thunderbolt has a certain effect on the Array Master. There's a 60% chance that he will lose his ability to lock on. At this moment, the creator was calculating the searching ability of the array master. Soon, he got a figure. 60% is not enough. Search the next special area and head to the next special area. Burn energy and increase my speed. The creator murmured, and his speed suddenly increased by 2 times. Huh. His speed has increased. Wang Xian was slightly shocked when he saw the creator suddenly increase his speed. He quickly followed behind. With his speed, it was still a piece of cake for him to keep up with the mechanical heart of the creator. His eyes were locked on as he followed behind. At this moment, the creator no longer had any equipment and was completely unaware that Wang Xian was following behind him. But what Wang Xian did not expect was that the master of creation would fly towards a special place. There was no sign of him going to his own base. Beep, beep, beep. Passing through the black hole and passing through the interference of black hole particles, the array master has an 8% chance of locking on. Beep, beep. Enveloping the heavenly flame liquid, the array master has a 7.33% chance of locking on. Chapter 29:30. Treasures of the Mechanic Emperor Domain 2-inch beep beep beep, flowing through Min Tianhe and cleansed by the Tianhe River. Array Master's lock-on success rate is 6.37%. Beep beep beep, passing through the chaotic energy tide. Array Master's lock-on success rate is 4.67%. Beep beep beep, fusing with ozone metal. Array Master's lock-on success rate is 1.5%. In the void of the Mechanic Emperor domain, the Master of Creation passed through many special places after precise calculations. Through various methods, he lowered his aura and interfered with the lock-on of the Array Master. Passing through these special places, he flew in the void for a total of 2 months. Behind him, even Wang Xian was shocked by the patience of the Master of Creation. In 2 months, he went to many special places to get rid of the lock-on of the Array Master. Such perseverance and patience were really strong. Dragon King, this Master of Creation is really a talent. After going through so many special places, I can't find any information about him anymore, even though I'm using the parts of the Master of Creation's giant body to search. At the side, Tianjun pursed his lips and said with a face full of surprise. The Master of Creation was different from ordinary creatures. He was a mechanical creature. The things obtained from the body of his mechanical giant were essentially just tainted with his aura and not a part of his body. Therefore, the Master of Creation used this method to go through the baptism of various special places to change his aura. This change caused the Tianjun to be unable to lock on to the Master of Creation. He's indeed an existence that has lived for billions of years. Even if there's a slight chance of being found, he'll eliminate this chance. However, he probably didn't expect that I'm already chasing after him. Wang Xian nodded slightly and locked his eyes on the dazzling mechanical heart in front of him. Beep, beep, beep. The lock-on success rate of the Array Master is 0. At this moment, after the Master of Creation passed through a special place, according to his calculations, the lock-on success rate of the Array Master was 0. This made him heave a sigh of relief. However, I still can't be careless. Logically speaking, the Dragon King's speed is very fast, and the Array Master is very strong. He might have already caught up to me and might be following me. Probability calculation. Probability is 51.3%. The Master of Creation quickly circulated his thoughts and gave an order. Scout planes, with me as the center, fly in from all directions and scan every corner of space. After the Master of Creation gave the order, he flew towards a direction. This guy can't possibly have the patience to fly in the Mechanic Emperor's domain for a few years, right? Wang Xian followed closely behind the creator, and his face darkened. This creator is too smart and alert. Dragon King, we have to be careful. It's best if we can completely conceal ourselves. Heavenly Formation said to him. Yes, I also have Roving Demon's concealment ability. This kind of light and darkness concealment ability can avoid the detection of spell formations and technology. Sky Formation, you go into the nest first. Wang Xian nodded his head slightly. With a shift of his mind, his body gradually turned illusory. Over the next few days, Wang Xian became even more cautious. He unleashed his concealment ability to the maximum and followed behind the creator. Other than occasionally communicating with Prime Minister Turtle, there was nothing else. Later on, Wang Xian even cut off all contact with Prime Minister Turtle and put away all the communication stone plates to prevent any accidents. Ha ha ha, this is awesome. These resources are too much. While Wang Xian, Heavenly Formation, and the rest were chasing after the mechanical heart of the creator, Roving Crab and the rest of the devouring dragons let out excited roars. Robots, battleships, armors, fighter aircrafts, and mechanical planets were all resources for the devouring dragons to improve. An hour after Wang Xian and the rest left, all the robots were slain. Next, it was time for Roving Crab and the rest to celebrate. The Mechanic Emperor's domain was different from the other domains. The resources in the other domains were very scattered. However, the resources in the Mechanic Emperor's domain were all concentrated in the hands of the robots and the creator. How many billions of years' worth of treasures would there be in the entire star region? And if all these treasures were used to create robots, how terrifying would they be? One could imagine just by looking at those mechanical planets. What kind of massive amount of resources would it take to create a war planet with powerful metals? There were also the hundreds of billions of robots. One had to know that even the weakest of the robots had the strength of a god master. There were also over 1 million god kings. In addition, there were the huge battleships that could rival a god emperor's battleships, mechas, and fighter aircrafts. Most importantly, there was the giant body of the creator. The entire giant body had been modified into a biological metal that possessed the destructive power of a void god emperor. How many treasures had been used to create such a huge body? There was another very important point. How many resources would be used to create a robot with the combat power of a god king? A human god king expert might have cultivated for tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, or even millions of years to reach such a realm. They might have used all sorts of treasures and absorbed the spiritual energy of heaven and earth to reach such a realm. But robots could not cultivate or absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. If they wanted to improve, they could only rely on all sorts of resources. This also meant that the resources contained in the bodies of robots were 10 times or more than what an ordinary God King expert could convert with his God Nation. In layman terms, the energy contained in a First-Order God King realm robot was 10 times or more than a First-Order God King expert. A robot corpse could fight against 10 human corpses of the same level. That was how terrifying it was. This was the reason why Roving Crab and the group of devouring dragons were so excited. To the devouring dragon race, the improvement this time wasn't just 1 or 2 times, but 10 times or more. TSK. Roving Crab has really struck it rich this time. Crazy. Even if we annihilate the region of evil spirits in the future, we won't be as powerful as the devouring dragon. Yamada Demonsha and the rest said enviously. Even Mao Zedong, Aochi, and Roving Heavens were envious. This time, the devouring dragon was going crazy. Soon, the strength of the devouring dragon could crush all the other dragon species in the Dragon Palace. 2 months after Wang Xian chased after the creator with the heavenly formation, excited roars of breakthroughs could be heard from the battlefield. At the location of the giant body of the creator, Roving Crab was still devouring energy and depleting it rapidly. As the body of the creator, how could it possess such a huge amount of resources? Currently, Roving Crab and 9 devouring dragons were digesting the body of the creator. Perhaps it wouldn't take long for them to possess the strength of a Third-Order God Emperor. Today, Chapter 8 has ended. Chapter 2931. Prime Minister Turtle, the devouring dragons have improved tremendously this time. Our Dragon Palace has produced many Emperor gods. Around the battlefield of the Mechanic Emperor domain, the 500,000 troops of the Dragon Palace guarded the perimeter. The Emperor gods of the Dragon Palace gathered together. They looked enviously at the devouring dragons devouring the mechanical army and asked Prime Minister Turtle, "The improvement this time is terrifying. This is the accumulation of the entire Mechanic Emperor domain over billions of years." However, The Dragon King sent me a message saying that he might not be able to contact him for the time being. The Dragon King is now following the Creator. According to the Dragon King, the Creator still has a trump card. Prime Minister Turtle said with a smile. The Creator still has a trump card? It can't be? Doesn't that mean that the Mechanic Emperor domain still has a lot of resources? Emosha couldn't help but ask. As an existence that has ruled this region for billions of years, how can he not have any special trump cards? I guess the Creator still has a secret base that he kept as a backup. Prime Minister Turtle nodded. Doesn't that mean that Roving Crab and the rest will get more resources? Orochi and the rest couldn't help but ask. Something like that. Prime Minister Turtle said plainly. Roving Crab and the rest are going to counterattack. Once these fellows level up, we'll make them our coolies. That's right. Let them help us look for resources. I'm really jealous now. The Emperor Gods of the Dragon Palace exclaimed. They guarded the perimeter to prevent anyone from disturbing the devouring dragon's improvement. In the center of the Mechanic Emperor domain, Wang Xian continued to follow the extremely cautious Creator with a black face. Time passed day by day. While the Dragon Palace was conquering the Mechanic Imperial domain, the Colored Glaze region, which was located at the location of the Lioli region, had been preparing for a counterattack after 2 months. 2 months ago, the Dragon Palace invaded the Mechanic Emperor domain and resolved the crisis in the Lioli domain. The domain master led the evacuated soldiers back to the center of the Lioli domain. This matter caused an uproar in the entire Lioli domain. However, in these 2 months, the army of the Lioli domain gathered and 3 emperor gods from the sacred region came to help. After 2 months of investigation and gathering all kinds of information, the Lioli domain was prepared to attack the demons in the Devil region. They would kill all the demons that entered the Lioli domain and hide in a territory that didn't belong to the Lioli domain. This was not a small matter. After all, they had decided to kill more than 10 god emperors and evil beasts. After 2 months of preparation, countless experts and soldiers gathered in a starry sky near the demon region of Lioli region. On a battle platform that stretched for tens of billions of kilometers, the elites of the entire Lioli region gathered. This time, our goal is to annihilate all the demons in the Lioli domain. Leave none alive. In the meeting room in the center of the fighting ring, there were a total of 31 emperor gods sitting inside, including the 3 emperor gods from the sanctuary. The leader of the domain lords said to all the celestial emperors with a cold expression. The sudden invasion of the demons from the Chi-Mei region caught the Colored Glaze region off guard, and 5 of their emperor gods had perished. Moreover, the humans on more than a dozen planets were hunted by the demons. This time, they were preparing to counterattack and exterminate all the invading demons. Yes, Region Lord, if it weren't for the Mechanic Emperor region intentionally pressuring us, we would have been able to slaughter our way into the demon region with our strength. Kill all the demons and take revenge for Brother Shui and the rest. Region Lord, with our strength, killing the invading Emperor gods and evil beasts will be a piece of cake. I suggest we attack the demon region and kill those demons and evil beasts. That's right. Take revenge for our fallen soldiers. The Emperor gods from the Colored Glaze region roared with murderous intent. Let's get rid of the demons and evil beasts that invaded our Colored Glaze region first. The Region Lord leaned back on the chair and said faintly, Region Lord, if the Dragon Palace can really wipe out or even severely injure the Mechanic Emperor region, I think we can attack the demon region and make those beasts pay the price. A emperor god from the Colored Glaze region said coldly, Oh yes, Region Lord, how's the situation at the Dragon Palace? It's been 2 months, and there's no news at all. The Supreme First Elder couldn't help but ask. There's still no news about the Dragon Palace. I just sent a message to the Dragon King, but there's no reply. The Region Lord replied and glanced around. This time, we'll take care of the demons and evil beasts in our region first. As for those outside the region, we'll act according to the situation. After all, the demon region has been in turmoil recently. Now, order all the soldiers to get ready to move out. We'll make those beasts pay with their blood. Yes, Region Lord. Yes. The Region Lord gave the order, and all the experts and core disciples of the entire colored glaze region started moving. They charged towards the demons and evil beasts, mobilizing the power of the colored glaze region. Dealing with those demons and evil beasts was naturally a piece of cake. In the next few days, the colored glaze region received many reports of victory. In just half a month, the colored glaze region killed 8 Emperor God-level demons and countless other levels of demons and evil beasts. Demon lairs were destroyed one after another, and not a single demon escaped. The region occupied by the demons and evil beasts was quickly retracted. However, a month later, when the army of the colored glaze region was about to reach the border of the demon region, something unexpected happened. Just when the people of the colored glaze region thought that they could sweep the entire demon region, and even when countless civilians and soldiers requested to kill their way into the inner regions of the demon region, at the border of the demon region, an incomparably huge demon lairs suddenly appeared. The entire demon lairs were the size of a dozen planets, dozens of times bigger than ordinary demon lairs. From time to time, terrifying roars could be heard coming from the depths of the demon lairs. The soldiers of the colored glaze region were about to reach the border of the demon region, but countless demons and evil beasts surged out of the demon lairs. Among them, there were more than 20 God Emperor-level demons and evil beasts. But this wasn't the most important thing. The most important thing was that there was a leader in the demon lairs, a void third-order God Emperor realm leader. That void third-order God Emperor demon led his army of demons and engaged in a huge battle with the colored glaze region. In that battle, the colored glaze region had the upper hand, but they couldn't defeat that group of demons and evil beasts. This made the expressions of the people of the colored glaze region extremely ugly. Who would have thought that the demon region would be so ferocious? There are more than 30 God Emperors of evil beasts that have appeared. If not for the fact that we have killed about 10 of them, I'm afraid it would be a huge problem. This colored glaze region is too dangerous. 1.5 months later, Invincible Battle Law stood on the battle platform, looking at the void in front of him. Initially, he thought that by relying on the strength of the colored glaze region, it would be easy to exterminate the demons and that there wouldn't be any danger. This led him to personally go up to the battlefield to kill some demons and evil beasts. But yesterday's battle caused him to shiver. Invincible God Dragon Training System will continue to be updated on the mobile game bar. There will be no advertisements in the website, so please collect and recommend the mobile game bar. Everyone who likes the Invincible God Dragon Training System, please collect Invincible God Dragon Training System. If you're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel, don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.